ahoy and good day once again to ye mateys! I be your festive and seasonal DM, Josh the Pirate, and it really jingles my sleigh bells to welcome you back to Corsair's Cove and our Christmas campaign, the 12 Days of Candlekeep. With me, I have me jolly crew, the cheery Ardanna, the chipper Dan O'Brien, the convivial Karen Schlink, and the light-hearted Brendan Ellis. So let's talk about this merry band, shall we? I've done a new thing where I roll to decide who goes first. Give me a D4.
No longer are we to be subjected to the whims
Ardanna,
of Josh.
who the absolute heck are you?
Oh, I am Ardanna or Joe, or sometimes I reply to, I answer to Oi as well. So
you know.
As do we all.
Yeah. I am the DM over at Lorite, well, DM and channel runner. And I also play over on a microbiologist and on Damn Your DM's channel.
All there.
Yes.
Got anything new coming up on the Lorite?
The holiday break.
Valid.
Yeah, but no, after New Year's we shall see. Hopefully we shall be returning with In Between.
Yeah.
After New Year's, sometime, hopefully. Other than that, not really.
Cool.
I will be going on a break for starting next week. So
You don't have to. You're not obliged to. Karen, I just rolled a 3. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, hi, I'm Karen. I'm otherwise known as the Mother of Bunnies. I'm a performer, a writer. You can follow me on Twitter until it burns to the ground at Mother of Bunnies, or you can follow my sassier burlesque alter ego over on Instagram at Miss Longmore. Or if you're strictly in it for the D&D, you can go listen to the podcast, There Be Dragons. There is a link in chat. You can head on over, or just search for it on your preferred podcasting platform. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life.
Something other than a 1 or a 3. Dan, who the absolute heck are you?
I am Dan O'Brien. I am a Perth-based creative. I
On
mainly...
them.
Yeah, that's the right Dan. Sorry.
I mainly fill my time painting Warhammer miniatures and building little dioramas. If you want to see those, you can go over to Arts and Lovecrafts on Instagram. And aside from that, I usually spend my time proofreading the marvelous writings of the one Rachel Fuka, whose debut book, The Rings of Mars, is available now on this very internet.
There it is. And Brendan, who the absolute heck are you?
Hello, I'm Brendan Ellis. I am also a Perth-based creative, but I don't paint because I'm bad at that. I tell other people how to do things instead. It works well for me. And so awesome. If you like me, then I'm going to be on this channel every night except for Friday. So
For the next 4 days. Yep.
Yep, for the next 4 days. So that is Poggy.
Woo! And Madame and Monsieur, Dame under Heron and beings of indeterminate gender and persuasion, I be Josh the Pirate. You can find me here on my channel, Corsair's Cove, where I run an absolute metric ton of D&D. And will be continuing to do so for the next little while until it's Ardanna's turn. So yes, the next 4 days I'm going to be DMing here. The first 3 days of the Candlekeep Christmas, and then Humblewood will be back on Thursday nights. And if you like my majestic voice, but you think I could stand to tone the face down a bit, you can check me out in the podcast, There Be Dragons, where I play the infamous and deadly pirate Skern Felspar und Little Dragon Crush. Cool beans. Karen, can you tell me quickly about Ukraine?
I can, Josh. Ukraine, you may have heard, there's been a war on this year. It's been pretty shitty. So if you would like to help the Ukrainians have a slightly less shitty time, there are 2 links in the chat. The first one is for the Emergency Action Appeal, which is an Australian-based group of charities and not-for-profits who are raising money to support Ukrainian refugees. I believe they've raised over $4 million, but they will always appreciate a few more digital pennies if you have them available. The second link is for the Curious Compendium of Slavic Myth, which is a wonderful 38-page D&D booklet. It's got subclasses, it's got creatures, it's got a little one-shot, it's got a beautiful Tolkien-inspired map of Ukraine. And if you would like to see the one-shot in action, you can head over to our Tube of Views and enjoy the Hunt for the Firebird, which is from this very compendium. And the donation to receive a copy, which goes to the British Red Cross Appeal for Ukraine, is £1. You can donate more than that, but you have to give them at least £1. But if you want to be able to say, I own a booklet of D&D stuff that's worth £100, this is your opportunity to make that true. Just saying.
Yeah. I must also remind our upbeat, jubilant, and possibly even peppy audience to please like, follow, and subscribe to all the things, you bloody champions. We have all the exclamation mark socials. We have, as aforementioned, the YouTube. All of our previous episodes you may have missed are up there. And we have a Discord. If you want to come and hang out with us, ask questions, get news about upcoming events, all that shit, it's there on the Discord, as will be all the maps that I make in Dungeonfog. Yes. We use Sirenscape for our music. We use Above VTT for our virtual tabletop, because it's simple. I use Dungeonfog for maps, and I use Wootenforge for all of my dice crafting needs. Beautiful handmade tabletop accessories, that's what they do. And if you want to get some of your own, here is the affiliate link that they gave us. woodenforge.com/Corsairs Cove. If you head on over there, get yourself some beautiful handcrafted wooden tabletop accessories made from beautiful Australian and exotic hardwoods, like this gorgeous little Jared Dice Keeper. It's very pretty. I'm very fond. And I finally managed to get Inoctua's address so we can send them theirs. That they won from the charity thing we did a while ago. Mateys, may your gifts be well received and all your dinners come with pud, as we head tremulously at first and then with mounting heat and passion, festivity and joy into the Candlekeep. Try something.
Speaking of Sirenscape, are we supposed to be able to hear music?
Let's find out. Hopefully. So, we find ourselves in a far and distant realm. A wondrous plain home to many mystical and otherworldly figures, as well as the greatest library ever constructed, the Candlekeep. Established first as a temple of Danir, and positioned on a rocky crag overlooking the Sea of Swords on one side and the plains of Mithrin on the other, the keep has stood the test of time, war, and the elements. The entrance fee to pass through the great black, heavily warded gates at the terminus of the Way of the Lion is a tome not already possessed in the collection, which has led to a vast though extremely eclectic assortment of knowledge being housed within. However, despite having a vigorously enforced returns policy, the Great Library does occasionally misplace a tome or two. It is the purpose of the Order of the Avowed to, among other things, go out into the multiverse and retrieve those lost books and occasionally acquire new ones. You didn't say there was custard. There have been some issues of late, however, magical disturbances of unknown origin. The principal result being people within or with ties to the keep being magically switched about, apparently at random. Though not harmful, this effect is inconvenient and has caused several embarrassing incidents, occasioning most residents to shower holding a towel. Pressure is being placed on the Master Sages to figure out the issue, and rumor has it that the first reader has a theory and has sent for a select team of Avowed to attempt to test it. So, it is a pleasant morning in the keep. The sun is warm and bright, and the light dusting of snow covers the ground. The winter solstice is approaching, and despite the magical mishaps of late, most are looking forward to the festive season. So, what would you all be doing this morning?
Ooh.
Are we already in the keep, or are we
You
arriving?
are all members of the Avowed, which is the group of assistant librarians and things like that in the keep. So yes, you would be there or near it.
Right. So,
How early in the morning?
Ooh, 10-ish.
At this time,
Go ahead.
at this time, you were anyone in the corridors, in the dorms of the Avowed would hear a rather familiar clacking sound as what looks like an aged elf is walking down the stone floors, a cane occasionally clicking against the floor. He's humming a small, soft tune to himself as he's making his way towards the exit to walk on over to the hearth for a spot of something to eat.
Lovely. And I just want to confirm the pronunciation. Ian Warren?
Ian Warren.
Ian Warren.
Yeah.
Yes, Ian Warren, you, as you are scooping out a hearty broth from the hearth, you, one of the sprites of the library, which serve as guides and menials, they don't look like much more than little glowing balls, but you know that it's actually a very small fairy. Approaches. This one glows a soft but vibrant green, and it's carrying they have a limited capacity for mage hand, and it is carrying in a mage hand. It's a letter, which reads, "Please meet the first reader in his study at your earliest convenience."
Oh, thank you. Takes. Is there anything I can do for you?
A very high-pitched voice says, "No, thank you." And it
I guess I have a meeting then.
pats you on the head, like as one would an obedient pet, and then goes away. But it's tiny. It is this tall.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to interact with the sprites and make them speak as much as possible.
He just smiles softly and then scoops the last of the broth up before standing up and making his way over.
Very well. How about Sprinkles?
Well, Sprinkles is very much. I should explain. Just like I haven't told anyone who we're playing. Yes. Yeah. Let me find the thing where it describes it nicely. Yes. Sprinkles is a druid. Specifically. Oh, where is it? I'm trying to find the exact thing. The thing that gives me my star powers. What's it called? A Ladrin druid.
Yeah.
Yes. By the power of the stars, she may transform into many shapes in exciting, sparkly ways. But given her propensity for nighttime, she tends to stay up quite late / early. So at 10 a.m., she's probably still asleep.
Very well.
Having spent most of the night cavorting in various druidic ways. So if a sprite needs to deliver a message, it's going to have to knock loud enough to wake her up.
There is no knock, however, a little red sprite. There is a knocking, but it's on your forehead.
Oh.
Oh. Hello. Oh.
Hello. Don't look so disappointed, Dan.
My names are so easy to meet.
A red, a very brightly glowing red sprite says, "A message for you."
Oh, lovely. Thank you. And I'll take
It says exactly the same thing. The first reader requests your presence at your earliest convenience.
Oh. I don't suppose you know what they consider earliest convenience.
Traditionally, ASAP.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Perhaps.
you.
Can we say that Sprinkles has like whatever the magical equivalent of an espresso machine is?
Yes.
Unicorn blood.
Sure.
Sorry,
Fine.
what did you
Taken
say, Dad?
nasally.
Unicorn blood.
Taken nasally.
Whoa, that took a turn. Okay,
Oh.
let's say it's a Druidcraft powered little espresso machine.
Little
Ooh.
steampunk espresso.
Love it. Can you describe said machine, please?
Let's say
With sound
it's,
effects.
Might be able to.
let's say it looks like a little metal cylinder with a little tap coming out the top, and basically she touches the little tap and gives it a little pulse of druidic power, and it whirs a little, and then steam comes out the top. And then out of the little tap comes a stream of beautiful, dark, chocolatey brown liquid that falls into a little cup. And it's got a beautiful layer of golden foam on top. And it smells kind of bitter and slightly sweet and chocolatey at the same time. And she'll kind of pick it up. She'll give it a little swirl just to let it cool off so it's no longer boiling. And then she just knocks that bad boy straight back.
Love it. Love everything
And
about it.
within a minute, she's already like, oh, right. And she'll start garbing herself in her usual flowing robes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how loud is the following burp?
Never.
Karen, I think that was a really nice piece of on the spot making up, so you can have inspiration.
Yay! Thank you.
I feel like also if someone wants to clip the last minute, you have a nice little mini ASMR there.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Got
All right,
some
how about
nails on the side of it?
how about Bitson and Redding? What will you guys be doing?
Redding should go first because I'm gonna bring the mood right down.
Okay,
Oh, dear.
great.
Great. I'm looking forward to it. Look, I don't know what how Candlekeep usually sources its food, but Redding is probably has probably been up early hunting and getting maybe some quail, some rabbits or something, and would now be back in the open courtyard of Candlekeep, absent-mindedly rubbing one side of his face, which is about one half his face is quite heavily burned and scarred.
Ooh.
While he's skinning the latest of his quarries and places it in a pile.
Cool. Now, does he have a companion?
Not yet.
Ah,
As
interesting.
in, it is not manifested.
Fair. Interesting. Cool.
But I wouldn't say it's a secret.
What does he look like? 'Cause he's a human, isn't he?
He is, yes. He is a relatively short human, furry brown hair, lots of facial hair, fairly unkempt, lots of scars, not just on his face, but on most of his body as well. Some of them look like gashes and some of them look like burns.
Cool.
But it is difficult to tell the nature of the burn.
Awesome. A bright golden sprite appears at your shoulder and goes to get your attention.
Fuck! You scared me!
Oh, I'm sorry. This is for
You
you.
really need to announce yourself before you just sneak up on people.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you bloody should be. What are you doing here?
I am here. A letter for you.
Why didn't you start with that? Jeez!
I didn't want to
Now
startle
piss
you.
off.
Ironically.
Alright, Bye.
Goodbye. And it taps you twice on the forehead and then leaves.
The problem there, Josh,
I
is you
catch
should have
his
been higher
little-
pitched. Would have gone fine.
Nemesis confirmed.
Yeah. Yeah, the letter obviously says the same thing again. I suppose the big question is, do you go straight away, or do you finish your business? Do you clean up? Because you, having skinned a few items in my time, you've got blood to your elbows.
Look, the letter is covered in blood already.
Excellent.
He fills it up, sighs heavily, takes another couple of minutes finishing the quail that he was plucking, and then makes his way.
Excellent. And Bitson,
It's an indeed.
face
So,
yourselves. Okay.
just beyond
Everyone
the
brace.
walls, just beyond the walls of the Candlekeep, there is a dense forest home to many charming pieces of wildlife, including a family of deer who've recently had some newborns. Unbeknownst to them, watching just out of sight in the fast shrinking shadows of the dawn is something that could generously be called a monster. A hellish fusion of metal and flesh that has clearly been thrown into the woods far from the sight of people. It moves with a careful grace, as if trying to draw near to the family. But unfortunately, its poorly kept hissing and clanking joints continue to scare the deer, and they remain, just like his dream of completeness, forever out of reach.
Oh my god.
The last time you think you've gotten closer than you've ever gotten before they've noticed you, and then just as you're about to do whatever it is you're planning on doing when you get to these deer, excuse me.
Yes.
Hello. I have a letter for you.
For me?
Yes.
Someone wrote to me?
I hope so. Or I've made a mistake.
He raises one terrible, juddering claw to take the message. Oil and steam spurting as he tries to make even this simple movement.
Good. Yeah, the sprite doesn't mind at all. And just like, here you are. And presents you with the letter, which says the same as all the others.
He gasps to himself as he realizes that for one of the first times in his life, someone wants him around.
Will you be attending?
Oh, yes.
I shall inform the master. And it flutters away. This one was a similar one, actually. This one, let's be honest, was gold. The same as the one that went to Reading. It was the same one. And yes. Cool. Splendid. So, a short while later, the first reader is also known as the Bookworm. So, the Bookworm is cloistered within his study. The room is large, but cramped. Piled high on every exposed surface with books in tottering piles. It is the function of the first reader to examine and evaluate every tome before it joins the collection. And he's getting a little bit behind. Though it's highly unusual for him to turn one down. In the past, books have slain the first reader and still been accepted into the collection. Though most of these now carry a warning label. The room becomes still more cramped. Yeah, most. Some of them doesn't need it, they just made a mistake. A couple of times in the past it was a particularly ambitious mimic, rather than an actual book. And a careless reader once or twice did get nibbled in their sleep. The room becomes still more cramped as a team of a dozen slowly assembles. As the last closes the door, Skoda Valanasta, a green dragonborn, with a regal aspect to him, lowers the manuscript he has been perusing by the fire as you all arrived. Each one of you sort of comes in turn, and yes, he just says, please await the others. I shall be with you. I am busy, very, very busy. I would say you all probably arrive within sort of 10 minutes of each other. And when the last joins, who of the four of you would be the last?
It'd probably be me with my legs.
That's true. All right. So
You'll hear me coming for a good 5 minutes before.
a clanking, malformed man-beast monstrosity opens the door and politely but oilily sort of squeaks in and comes to a hissing rest. And the...
Holy hammer of Tyr, what the fuck is that?
I'm sorry, I was told I was wanted here, but I will say
You
that
are.
I did find that unlikely. Oh,
You are Master Bitson. Thank you all for coming. I'm sure you're as eager as we all are to resolve the mishaps that have been plaguing this institution. I believe it is to do with an imbalance in the collection. The keep is a deeply magical place, with an awareness of what is right. We have several items that are long overdue. I believe this is the library's version of a tantrum. Return a few of these and the issue should resolve itself. Not a job for 12, but keeping people in one place has been an issue of late. I believe tasking more than would normally be necessary is wise.
Oh, Emerin scoots around a little bit, and is there an empty chair somewhere?
No. There is one
Okay.
chair that could be set. Like, if you moved some books, sure. And if you've been there for 5 minutes, you could have probably moved some books
Yeah.
to find a seat. Yeah.
I'll say
Yeah,
that
no.
Sprinkles has just kind of made a stack of books and is perched.
And what he's doing is he's basically carefully moving these books because he doesn't want to piss off the first reader, and then just slyly leans a little against his cane and just kicks the chair over to Bitson. Just carefully, have a seat. Have a seat. And it just goes against the floor.
Bitson examines it from all angles and then just squats in it.
You're meant to go all the way down.
Oh. He sticks one leg through the armhole.
You know
Yes.
what? That's fine.
Okay.
Where exactly do you propose we start looking for these missing books?
First book I would suggest is The Deep and Creeping Darkness.
Wait, that's the book or where we have to go?
The book is called A Deep and Creeping Darkness. It is a bestiary of particularly nasty creatures of the multiverse.
I've
Any idea
Met
where
some
it
of them?
is?
All of you have probably met a few. As you know, the library cards do give us a general idea of where the book is currently located. We currently believe it is in a mining town called Vermilion. However, nothing has been heard from that town in some time. But it might be safer, I don't want to send you into a boiling pit of tar or something, to head to the next town over, Viren, and start there. Perhaps some of the villagers might know what happened.
Question. You say that it's called a deep and... Sorry, what was it? A deep
A Deep and Creeping Darkness is
A
the
deep
book.
and creeping darkness.
Yes.
This book wouldn't be cursed in any way, would it?
Not that I'm aware of.
Just
Simply, it's a very pleasantly bound tome, black leather, as I recall. with red lettering down the spine, sort of embossed, quite shiny. It says a deep and creeping darkness on the side. Written by a young chap called Volos.
Can anyone
Is this
here
your
read?
first time, love? Yeah, I can read. Redding looks at and points at Holly and says, "Is this your first time?" Obviously, everyone knows that the titles don't mean jack shit. Like, a lot of these have been embellished and made up to sound a lot more terrifying than they are to allow them to have access to Candlekeep in the first place.
Not inaccurate, Mr. Redding.
Although, perhaps if this name is who I think it is, perhaps embellished isn't the most accurate to describe this book.
I examined it and found it to be relatively in line with other research that we have performed. It may be lacking in some of the finer details, but largely speaking, it's accurate. What it is, however, is a fairly comprehensive compendium of an awful lot of the nastier things that inhabit, particularly the Feywild.
Oh, I've never been to the Feywild. No, I have not.
Essentially, it is a book of some interest and detail that you would appreciate being returned.
Look, it would be good if it came back anyway, but the whole point of this is actually to get the magical humours of the building back into balance. To stop the whole teleporting while you're on the loo or something, you know? Been known.
Ah, yes.
Master
Although the
Master
last-
Tim Thorth was halfway through Congress with his wife.
Oh.
I bet she was disappointed.
Yes.
Or
I
relieved.
doubt it.
Right. This town you speak of, First Reader, how far away is it?
You'll have to teleport.
Ah, I see. And she kind of looks
The teleportarium
Quickly.
will be made available to you for your use.
I was just wondering if Bitson, was it? Is he going to be okay?
My understanding is he can't not be.
I don't feel.
He that made him didn't do a fantastic job, but it's very durable, I believe.
Wonderful. I love things that are durable.
Oh?
And
Let's
like,
fucking
she-
go. We've got to go. Let's.
Like, Holly Sprinkles is trying to be, nice and
Yeah.
lovely, but she can't help. She's wearing a long red cloak over the top of her clothes, and she can't help but just draw it in a little closer to her.
Yeah. Well then, you should all head to the teleportarium, and thence to Mayrin.
Obviously, Bitson is fairly unknown to us, but would I have met Redding or Anwin?
I believe you've, Bitson... Are we saying that this is the first time Bitson has ever done anything like this before?
Yes.
Okay.
He's sort of just been discovered around the edges of the grounds.
Sure. He's just been haunting the wilderness around there for a while. In fact, you know what I'll say? I think Dolph found him.
Okay.
Dolph is in the room as well. The others in the room, there are a couple more elves, a couple of half-elves, and a trio of Minotaur-looking gentlemen, or similar. A pair, I think, currently. It will depend. A couple of characters have not yet been set. But yes, a huge hulking servant man says, let me get the voice right. Bitson is very good. He will make an excellent addition. I know him well. I'm the one who made him. Anyway, you should all go. And as he gets halfway through that sentence, the swirling skeins of magical energy that presage a teleportation all find you, and you are blamphed halfway across the multiverse in a whirl of green-tinged light.
Thank Tyr for that.
I have to say that while I miss the way that you travel in the astral sea, this is pretty close. I guess.
So, you all find yourselves scattered. You've gone from this little room before, and you find yourselves in how best to describe it? A pleasant little town in the mountains. Variously scattered around a marketplace. The four of you are... Yeah, there's only four of you. The other 8 are gone. They're disappeared. But, yes, Sprinkles, Spitzen, Yanwarin, and Redding, you are in roughly the relationship, as a distance and arrangement as you were before, but you are now in a crowded marketplace. In a little village, or sorry, a decent-sized town, probably, you would guess from looking around, at the base of a mountain range. Not large enough to be called a city. It is the last bastion of civilization before the inhospitable climate of the peaks.
Oh. How has our landing been? Did we literally like appear, or were we?
You pretty much just popped in there. A swirl of green energy preceded you. You've seen it happen, because when it happens, and it does fairly often, and has been going on for about 3 weeks now, you don't always go... Not everybody gets teleported every single time, but sort of about 3 in every 4 people get teleported every time it happens. And... Yeah, there is a swirling green light appears before the apparition. And then there is a person standing there. There is a fairly blinding flash of light. So your entrance is definitely noted by the folk. But this is a multiverse where magic is very known to exist. And 4 unusually dressed people rocking up in the middle of your town square is not that bizarre. It is of note, but not... What the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it just brushes his perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, and just brushes down his clothes a bit. And we are all okay?
Let us say, a small bird launches itself from Sprinkles' hair and flaps away, cheeping indignantly. Oh dear. Oh, it's back that way. Oh, I hope it doesn't get lost. Oops.
It looks like one of us got merged with some kind of statue. Oh no, wait, he's just like that.
Yes. Could I please, I would like to use Druidcraft quickly, and I would like to create basically I'm going to check what the weather's going to be like. It's the thing I can do. Basically, I cast it, and a small sensory effect demonstrates what the weather's going to be like. So, like a golden orb if it's going to be a nice sunny day, clouds if there's rain, light little flurry of snow if we're expecting snow.
The way I like to imagine this one is you feel the passage of the next day across your skin. Starting at the fingertips on your left hand for the next 5 minutes. It works its way across your entire body. And so you feel pleasant warmth up to about your left elbow. Then the temperature drops. And around about your left nipple, you start feeling cold rain dapple across your chest. It does until about your right shoulder, and then just mist and fog all the way down your right arm.
Right. Well,
Just calling it now, that is definitely used as a sex thing in this universe.
Yes, when you know it's going to be thunder and lightning for the next 24 hours, yeah. That's hot.
Forget running
Oh, that would
ice
be
across your
summer.
chest.
Cool. Holly takes us
wanna-
in and then is like, we'll be expecting rain in a few hours. We should get moving.
Rain?
I want to take a look around. Are we getting, obviously our entrance attracted attention, but are
Yep.
we getting many other lingering looks?
Make me a perception check.
Sure. 24.
4.
Ooh.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of, like, you are getting a lot of there's a bit of a titter of excitement around the stall holders, like, hey, new customers, yeah boy, and these ones look exciting, that maybe they've got some coin. Like, you can see a couple of stall holders changing the price from an apple 1 copper piece to 1 gold piece, you know, that sort of thing. Quick, adventurers are coming! In price increase. The
damn adventurous tax strikes again.
you hear one berate another saying, like, you're supposed to do it before they get here. If they notice, there's no point. And you do notice with a 24, there is a trio of fairly grizzled-looking gents, a particularly sturdy dwarf, a human with a beard that is like, half of it's quite a nice beard, the other half has been, like, scratched by something. Like, the other side of his face has been, like, just mold, so his beard comes all scraggly. And a buff-looking goblin. And the three of them are sort of watching you intently. They are all armed, but not in the manner of guards.
Sure. And is Bitson getting many looks? Are people, like,
Look, you're
having a
all
wide
fairly
berth?
noteworthy, I think, in your own way. These people all sort of, the Avowed have not a dress code exactly, but you're reasonably well paid, and so I have an idea that you guys would be at least dressed quite nicely, with the exception of Bitson. And Bitson has his own reasons for being quite visually striking. So these people are all, it's Hessian, it's commoner garb, it's nothing particularly fancy, hard-working, good, nice, hardy folk, and you all stand out a bit. Hey, Tony.
I was
Yeah.
more wondering about the fact that, like, we're, like, stand out, but we are, like, relatively well-dressed, whereas Bitson, from what
He's
he's
a
been described
terrifying-
as,
Well, yeah, I was
He's
gonna say Bitson
straight out the fly.
is bits of chrome and brass, and he has one antler sticking out of his skull. So, whenever he'll do what he usually does when he finds himself surrounded by people, is he can, to a certain degree, retract his limbs. So he tries to take up as little amount of space as possible, and then just pulls his tattered sheet around him so he shows as little as possible.
I'm gonna roll for it. Yeah. A group of 7 small children, sort of all between the ages of about 5 and 10, are sort of campering through the markets and spot you, and they all come over like, ooh, wow, wow. And 2 or 3 of them definitely are like, what's this? Who are you? What's your name? Looking up at Bitson, like, are you an adventurer? What do you do? Where do you come from? You look exciting. What's that? How does that work? Two young girls are particularly taken with Holly. Holly, how long is your hair? I think very
long.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of like half of it's kind of piled up on top of my head, but it's not particularly neatly done, which is how a bird was hiding in there and no one had picked up.
I'm imagining there's a lot of, like, flora as well.
Yeah, she's got some bits of nature detritus caught in there.
Yeah. But it's actually growing. It's not caught there. It got caught there, and it's just taken
now
root.
it's just
It just lives there.
blossoming.
And a couple of them are like, oh, I've never seen a flower like that before, like growing out of your hair. Yeah, and there's a couple of boys going, oh, look at his scars. That's really cool. Look at that. Wow. How'd you get that, mister? At Reading.
I just stare and scowl at them.
I almost think you should have advantage on intimidation, even though you're really bad at
It's
it.
gonna be really bad at it.
And yeah, so they all sort of caper around you. Ianwarin, can you make me a perception check, actually?
Ooh.
Sure thing. Let me see. Oh, that's a no. That's 11.
Yeah, a couple of them. One of them offers to show you, like, what the oldest seems to figure that you're the leader because you're the oldest, and says, "Do you need any supplies? Any directions? I'm a really good guide. I can show you around."
Oh, we're looking for a. Was it the Deep and Creeping Darkness? Oh, it's a book. It's a book. It's a book.
You got loads of books here
what's
in the
the
market.
what's the name of the town
Vermilion.
that we were told? Is that where we are now, or where we
No,
were told
you're
to
in
go?
Mayrin. One of them, the little boy would say, "Welcome to Mayrin."
Ah. Well, at least we turned up in the right spot. We should probably get directions.
I can tell you where to go.
will. Oi, piss off.
Okay. Well,
That's no way to speak to a child.
The way most people speak to me.
Oh, that's not right.
It's character building. It will be good for them.
Well, who do you
and then
propose we
I
ask
will-
for directions then, Reading, since you've scared off all the lovely children?
Well, it's funny that you fucking asked that, Holly. I will point to the group of burly-looking people, and I'll say, they look like they've been wandering this part of the country. Holly, Ian, I'm going to call you Ian. The two of you are fairly hot, so why don't you go over and speak with them? And Red gets out a big traveling cloak and, not uncaringly, places it over Bitson to cover the more hideous kind of parts of its body, and says, "We're just going to stay here and try to keep a low profile, but I'll keep an eye on you in case you need any help."
On a scale of 1 to 10, how scary looking are these guys?
7.5.
Can I look around and see if either of those little girls that were admiring the
They haven't
nature?
gone far. One of them's still hiding behind Bitson.
I'll approach her. Excuse me, young lady.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you could furnish us with direction.
Where?
I have forgotten the name of the town already.
Vermilion.
Vermilion. We're looking for the town of Vermilion. Apparently it's near.
Don't want to go. No one ever goes up there.
Well, we're hoping to extract a certain object, which, by the sounds of it, it's a dark and creepy sort of place, Vermilion.
Oh yeah. Been abandoned a long time.
Right, excellent.
Apparently
if you
there was
Why
some
don't
sort of.
people go there?
She was halfway through telling you. Apparently there's.
Get to the
Apparently there was
point.
some sort of. Apparently there was some sort of disaster.
Right.
In
what
the
kind
mine?
of... Oh, right.
I don't know though. Did I go?
Can I, like, what's it, like, is it, like, snowy, or is it, like...
Here it is not. It is. Yeah, you're a little bit below the snow line.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'll quickly pluck, like, a dandelion from the ground and, like, make it bloom for her and just... Sorry about it.
She takes it very gingerly in her hands and thank you, and runs.
Right. That way. Unless anyone
If-
needs anything.
She would, as she takes it from you, she says, If you need any information, maybe try the pub.
Oh, well, thank you, young man.
See, scaring children is never a good idea. And Ian
It
just
seems to have worked
glares
out
at
pretty well
Ray.
for us so far.
Anyway, she says if we want more information, we should ask at the pub. Which
The
is
pub's
always a good-
great. Or what about them? And I point again at the three.
If you want.
Well,
like
Redding, if
experienced
you
looking
want to go
traveler
ahead and talk
dudes.
to those three gentlemen, you can go right ahead. I won't stand in your way.
Oh, let me try make a. Should I make an attempt first
If you like.
before we scare them first?
Look, I'm just pointing them out because they seem like they're well traveled. They seem like they probably know this area and they probably have first-hand experience being in Vermilion. So why don't we try them before we bother a bunch of drunks who may or may not have left the village in a week?
That is a very good point. Yeah, that is a good point. Evelyn will just straighten out. And I realized I completely forgot to describe my character at the start. So he's wearing what looks like silvery gray robes. If you look closely, they are very finely made because, Avowed earn a lot of money. And he has icy blue eyes and bluish gray skin. So he's an astral elf. And I'm trying to make it notice, but he walks with a little bit of a limp and he has a very odd speech pattern. So he'll ask himself a question first and then answer it.
Cool.
Because he's been in the astral sea for he has no idea how long. And hasn't really
Got a
talked to
little
people.
lonely. Yeah. Cool,
Yes.
Cool. Love it.
But yeah, so he looks like an old man walking with a cane.
And he sort of hobbles over, sort of limps
Yep.
over to these three gentlemen.
Yes.
Very well.
Oh,
Hello there, stranger.
Hello. So we're looking for this town. Yeah, this town. It's called Vermilion. We're heading there to grab something. Could
Aye.
you tell us the way?
Up
Maybe?
in the mountains, innit? You from somewhere far away? You look like you're well traveled.
Well, that depends on your definition of far away. Yeah, that depends on your definition of far away.
And why you here then? What you looking for? Something valuable?
I honestly have no idea. We were told to get this thing. Yeah, get this thing, and then suddenly we appeared here, and then I have never been here before, so I have no idea to go from here to there.
Well, way up to Vermilion's on the road. Heads up into the mountains. Can't miss it. About a day's travel up that road there. Theoretically, it's a road. No one's been keeping it for a while. If you need a guide, me and my mates here to take you up there.
Now, that sounds like a splendid idea. How much would it cost us for you to not accost us on the way?
Oh, we wouldn't do that, sir. No, we wouldn't do that, would we, lads? No.
I've spent time with pirates. I know.
Oh, we're
the
no
sort.
pirates, sir. We're no pirates at all.
No, because this is not an ocean and you don't have a boat.
Don't need to bring it home like that, sir.
But we do
Be
have
10
some
gold pieces to take you up there.
unaccosted.
Well, of course. Wouldn't be no point in robbing you if you're paying us to take you up there.
That is a good point. And he'll put a hand in a pouch and just flick a gold coin in the air and just. You get 5 now. And a 5 when we arrive, provided I have not found any of your fingers in my pockets.
How many gold coins did you expect to find in your pockets?
There. Well, he had 25 when he left Candlekeep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Your pocket is
Sally
a little
holds
bit
1.
a little bit emptier than you thought it would be. You're down 5,
Ah,
but not
Because
from
the
these
kids.
guys. Yeah.
yeah.
Bloody children.
Yes.
Oh, let's be kind to the children. You don't get anything by scaring children away.
I didn't get
Christmas, gather
I-
all the children around.
I didn't get robbed. Maybe
You haven't
just
checked
nice
yet.
enough. I quickly checked my
Redding's-
purse.
Is Redding saying this out loud?
No,
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
think they're there.
Yeah.
But
No.
we would be within hearing distance.
Yeah,
At least
Yeah.
Reading would
Holly
be.
is definitely making sure she's standing within.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hearing
Martin,
this-
you can
yeah.
still definitely afford these guys' fee, but
Yeah.
it'll be half your money, not a third of it.
Yeah, it would be half of it. Yeah. But he's still flicking that gold coin and catching it.
Like, well, that'd be perfectly fair, sir. Won't be able to spend it until we get back to town anyway. Get it up there. We get you up there. We would, Look, sir, I don't want to go anywhere near that town, I'll be honest. But, we'll drop you off at the, top of the road just heading into the town. You pay us then, perhaps? I don't want to go in the town itself, but I'll get you to looking at it.
That sounds like a fair deal, yeah. Yeah, it does.
Nasty
yeah.
business happen up there, sir. Like, I only
I've
tell
seen
you
dead
because you seem...
dogs.
Very well, it probably wasn't that nasty. By your comparison, probably wouldn't be nasty at all. No, you'll love it up there. All right, then. I'm not going to talk myself out of a business.
Reading is gonna saunter over at this point and say, "Yeah, hi, I'm with him. Tell me more about the town. What happened there?"
Oh, sir, I don't know. Can't say I know as much. It was 70 years ago. Nasty business, though. Explosion in the mine killed loads of people. And then, after that, something worse happened. But I couldn't say. Wasn't there. Long before my time.
70 years is a long time. Why are people still staying away?
Because of what happened next. Heard it was nasty. All creepy
But you
and
don't
dark.
know any more than that.
Those who survived it, sir, they don't like talking about it. You might get something out of the barman, though. Apparently he was there.
What's his name?
Lucas. Lucas Gravesman.
Well, I believe that we should probably talk to this Lucas before we head up there. Better prepare than dead.
Well, if you're happy to avail yourselves of our services, and we have that 5 in advance, so we can buy some provisions.
Yeah. It's gonna count out 5 and just hold it out to whoever wants to take it.
Yeah. The dwarf would put his hand out, but he wouldn't take it from you. He'd let you drop it into his
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah, it drops 1 coin at a time in his hand.
Mighty kind of you, sir. Well, we'll be waiting for you at the gates of the town if and when you're ready.
Sounds good.
May I say, sir, though, that the deposit's non-refundable if you decide after you've talked to Lucas that you don't want to, because I'll have spent it by then, probably.
That is completely fine by me.
Very well, then. Pleasure doing business with you. Looking forward to the trip. Is it just the two of you?
Nah, we have some friends too.
I did notice.
Friends. Yes, friends.
Cool. Well, then,
Traveling
these
companions.
3 fine, honest gentlemen take their leave of you and point you to the Board Weasel. The Board Weasel Inn.
Holly will kind of sigh and say to, sorry, I'm probably saying Ian,
Just
Jan
say
Warin.
Ian. Ian
Jan
Warin,
Warin.
but yeah, Ian works.
Jan Warin. I really hope they don't try to kill us. Let's just have a vibe.
It's a possibility. Yeah, there would probably a possibility that they'll try, but I don't think they're gonna get far.
We really, really, really didn't need guides in the first place, but hey, it's your money, not mine.
Oh, I wasn't paying for the guiding. I was paying for the meat shielding
Oh, right.
because
So if-
bears, lynx, not lions, wolves.
Right. Cool. Anything
I
dangerous,
like
we'll
your
push
thinking.
them out in front. I love it. Now, there's this pub, the Dead Weasel.
Not
The
the
Board.
board.
Holy stout.
Board weasel.
Board Weasel. Right. And
I
Sounds
thought I was the one hard of hearing.
what was this fellow's name?
Lucas.
Lucas.
Right. And Holly's like, well, charring a bartender does all in a day's work. And she'll kind of waft into the Board Weasel and
The
look around.
Board Weasel is a mid-range tavern and inn. It features a dining area that seats about 40 people comfortably, of which half the seats are probably full at this point. Small bedrooms that have surprisingly soft mattresses, and one tub that can be rented for baths on the hour. The inside is lively as it is approaching lunch. Several servers scurry about, while behind the bar, a weathered-looking man of older years is polishing a glass with a rag and watching the coordinated chaos of the establishment.
Right. I'll saunter on over to the bar.
And as you all enter, the music sort of screeches to a halt. It's sort of like mid note as the four of you enter, and everyone sort of turns and looks.
Another bird flies out of Holly's hair. Oh, shoot, there were two.
And the music slowly starts back up again. Conversation recommences, and yeah.
I'm gonna find a corner out of the way and guide Bitson and hang out with them there. Away from people if possible.
Bitson tries to follow as quietly as possible, which is still a massive din.
Make me a stealth check, Bitson.
Oh dear. Alrighty.
Oh, he's raised one eyebrow.
And what are Ian Warin and Sprinkles doing?
I've got a 9.
Thanks. Sure. Yeah, it's not that quiet.
No.
There is this, every third step, there is this clang.
And when I sit down, it sounds like a car crash.
He sounds how he looks.
And
Yeah.
at that, he becomes so embarrassed, he retracts his neck towards his rib cage, but the antler stops it getting past the collarbone, and it just clangs.
Oh, don't do that. You look even worse.
You see, Holly would see it. Ian just both hands on the cane, an eyebrow lifted, head tilted slightly. That is so fascinating.
How is he alive?
Magic, possibly.
Most likely.
Cool. I would like to approach the bar and get the attention of the barkeep.
You have had the attention of the barkeep, the four of you, since you entered.
Excellent. I would like to more directly indicate to him that I would like his attention.
Yeah. What can I do for you today?
Hello. I'm looking for Lucas.
And Lucas it is you have found. I've just put a picture of Lucas up in the chat. The lovely boy. Oh, he has got fantastic hair. Lucas is 95 years old. He has a charming smile, and his hands are calloused from years of work. He is an ex-miner, but now the owner of the Bored Weasel. His shoulders are hunched with only a hint of the strength they once had. And, yeah, he seems world-weary, but not... I think world-weary, but not sad, just old.
Pleasure to meet you. I'm Holly Sprinkles. This is my companion, Warren.
Janwarin.
You can call me
Janwarin.
This is my
Yeah.
companion.
Yeah.
Mumble.
I was... And, like, Holly's turning on the charm as hard as she can, which, given she only has a 0 charisma, is
Excellent.
probably not that well. And also, he just saw a bird fly out of her hair.
It's now in the rafters because the door was closed behind you. I'm sure it will leave at some point.
I'll guide it out. I was hoping I could ask you a couple of questions about a difficult subject.
Oh, yes? What difficult subject would that be, my dear?
And Holly will get a little more serious and be like, we have been charged with retrieving an object of immense importance to a friend of ours who is regrettably unable to go themselves. They believe this object is in Vermilion.
Oh, that is why you're coming and talking to me then, is it? You want to know
It
what
is.
happened?
If any information you can give us that might help guarantee our safety would be very appreciated.
Look, I will see what I can remember. It was a very long time ago. I was a younger man, much younger. But perhaps if I might sit with you a while, you and your friends, bring you a cup of the house special. You perhaps buy all of you buy a drink, and I will tell you the tale. How about that? I may have a request to make of you. You see, I have an item I would like to get back from Vermilion my own self, but unfortunately I'm not capable of going anymore. If you were to do me that service, then I will give you all the information that you require. All that I possess, anyway.
Cool. Sprinkles will kind of fish out a few coins, something that would roughly cover a round of drinks.
Oh, a single gold piece would be more than sufficient.
Cool. I'll pop a gold piece down the bar. I'll slide it across and be like, we'll be in the booth just over there.
Well, splendid. I will get you a bowl each of the establishment's most famous dish, salty fish surprise. This is in the mountains.
Do you have anything more local? Is local the right word?
Oh, this is
More
very local. All locally sourced, homegrown, very nice.
Do you do ice fishing or something like that?
Oh, that would be a trade secret, I'm afraid, my dear. I will bring them over, and drinks as well, is it?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
What would, and I think this is actually quite a telling question, what would the four of you drink?
Ooh.
He sends a saucy-looking bar wench over to get your drink order.
Mulled wine.
Excellent.
And Sprinkles hears mulled wine. Is like, oh yes, that would be lovely.
2 mulled wines? And yourself, sir?
Yeah, Red likes the idea of a mulled wine, but doesn't want to be seen drinking this fruity drink. So he's just gonna ask for something really rough, but something that keeps him warm.
A stout,
Spirits
perhaps?
or something. Yep.
Or perhaps
And,
a
what
good
is that?
fire whiskey?
Fire whiskey, that's the one. Yep, thanks.
Fire whiskey.
And-
And for yourself, sir.
I'm sorry.
You're very welcome. What can I get you to drink?
I'm sorry?
To drink, Bitson.
I've never had a conversation this long. What do you do?
You tell the lovely lady what you'd like to drink. Mulled wine, beer, vodka.
Oil.
Oil?
Another mulled wine for our friend.
And 3 mulled wines, absolutely. And she goes.
You love it. It's full of spices.
Actually, do you eat or drink? Do you consume?
No.
But then this will be an excellent experience for you.
Okay.
And yeah, Lucas arrives with a tray of 3 mulled wines and a tumbler with this red gold liquid in it and a single ice cube floating within. The ice cube is probably, it's about the size of a tip of the thumb. It's not a lot of ice. He has sort of gotten your measure, Redding, or at least what you present. Yes, he says, "There you are, sirs and ma'ams. There you are, sirs and ma'am. And 4 salty fish surprises. There we have it. And 4 bowls of a pleasant-looking fish chowder are placed in front of you. And he wipes the top of the bar, the top of the table, and places himself in a seat. So you wish to hear the sad tale of Vermilion, is it? Why does his voice change?
I don't know.
No,
you're
you wish to
figuring
hear the sad tale of Vermilion, is it?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind. And Holly will take a mouthful of the salty fish surprise.
Holly, this is entirely on you. It is quite good. The book says the salty fish surprise is very nice, but it's not particularly. As long as you don't know what the surprise is, it's surprisingly nice.
Okay. Cool. Holly's still on full charm mode, so she's like,
You like it, do you?
It's very nice, thank you.
I make it myself.
How delightful.
Secret family recipe, my wife's.
Redding is pretty discerning about what he eats, so he's going to not try to be subtle. He's going to give it a sniff and try to figure out what is in it before he has it.
Redding is a ranger and therefore has some amount of sort of woodcraft and so forth. What is your favorite terrain, Redding?
I think that I've taken some of the optional features.
Right,
so
cool.
I think they work a bit differently.
Sure. I would basically you know make me a nature roll, I suppose, to determine what kind of fish this is.
Sure. I was going to go with perception, but nature's fine too.
Sure.
Am I going to regret not checking what this was before I put it in my face?
Almost. Yeah.
Redding, you would have advantage with a nature check. I apologize.
Great. So that was a 12. 12 it is.
12 it is. It is definitely an ocean fish, not a river or lake fish. Your best guess, cod.
And how far is the ocean from here?
You would not be aware. This is a different plane of the multiverse to the one you've been on, but you are in the mountains, which gives you a decent view, if nothing else, and the nearest ocean is not visible.
Yeah, great. I'm gonna give it a sniff and then put it down and then get some jerky out of my pack and eat that instead.
Very well.
Yeah. Ian is happily eating his stew. Doesn't care at all. It tastes fine. He he's interested in eating anything because, astral sea, you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't sleep, you don't age. So anything
Yeah.
is just...
Bitson, do you try it?
I carefully watch what everyone else does with the drinks and the food, and then I do a bit of rustling under my cloak. You hear a bit of a screech and some clangs, and I just take the glass, the bowl, and everything, tuck it under my cloak. You hear another few clanks and squeaks, and then I just stop moving.
And
You're meant to put it inside you, right?
Through your mouth normally.
Oh. Should I try again?
No,
If-
it's fine.
wouldn't mind getting the bowl back if you. Well, I wouldn't mind getting the bowl back if you are done with it.
Oh, okay. Bitson tilts his head back fully 90 degrees and reaches inside him and produces the bowl.
You see, Iamarin's eyes are just this big, and he's like, need to find out what did this.
It is covered in oil and slightly singed.
No, Bitson. What
Look-
Bitson is like.
Yeah. Lucas
Holly
goes.
is kind of Sprinkles is kind of frozen with the spoon halfway to her mouth. Look,
Is that right?
I like to see
I
a
just
good
take
healthy
another
appetite.
chomp.
Perhaps this time, young man, if you are not wanting it, and he shoves Redding's bowl in front of Bitson instead, and says, "What you do, my friend, is you try it with the spoon. You hold the spoon like this," and he demonstrates taking a spoonful of it, and then slowly tips it into your mouth, which is maybe still like he tries to.
Yeah, my
Or
eyes
it-
are resting on my back.
Yeah. So try this, and then he looks in, probably regrets it, and then attempts to basically run it along your tongue. It's like, there you are. Can you taste that? It's marvelous, is it not?
No.
You cannot taste it, or it's not marvelous. You can be careful here.
I can tell there's something in me.
I see. Right then. Well, you are wanting to hear about Vermilion.
Please.
yes,
Yeah.
please.
There's a ratcheting noise as the head is flipped back.
The last of the fish
Oh.
surprise just dribbles out my nostril.
Holly Sprinkles makes a firm mental note to request that the first reader keep her away from whatever this is. Not
Ian
because she
produces.
dislikes him, just because he's slightly unsettling.
Iamarin grabs a napkin and just wipes it from Bitson's face.
Thank you.
Wipes the.
So, Lucas leans back in his chair and says, "Well, the tale of Vermilion is not particularly long, but it is quite sad. It was established up in the mountains when a vein of platinum was found. Very prosperous for about 20 years. Made quite a lot of money, but it never grew particularly large as there was no farming or anything that could support a large community. So, there was perhaps 150 of us. No, would have been more than that. Maybe nearly 200 when the accident happened. My wife and I had just moved up there. Both were miners. She was in the mine when it happened. There was an explosion in the mine, and nearly 70 were buried. Lost. Getting everybody out. Everybody pitched in, we all dug. Managed to save 16. 70. My wife was not among them. Sadly, Lorna, yes, I did not see her again. Yes, my friend.
How long does this stay inside me?
Until it is cold, and then you expel it.
Okay.
We'll talk you through that one. Don't do anything right now.
Just enjoy the sensation. We'll come back to it. Lucas, you say?
Um, 11 bodies were never found. I left after that. Could not really stand it. My wife and I had actually built the house we were living in up there, and everything I looked at just reminded me of her. So I left. As I heard it, after that, people started disappearing. After the explosion. No explanation. It was odd. Apparently, sometimes they were just there 1 minute and gone the next, never to be heard or seen again. Made me glad I left when I did.
Did people kind of describe any effect when these people disappeared?
It was a very long time ago, my dear. I'm afraid nearly 70 years, and I'll be honest, I didn't make any particular inquiries about it. I wanted to know, the less, the better about that place.
So no one mentioned kind of like a blamphing noise or a green glow?
I did not see anything like that or hear of that. There is another person here, though, who was there. She was there longer than I was as well. I believe her family was one of the last groups out. Astra. She works in the market. She sells flowers. She's a nice girl.
A girl?
Well, she's a half-elf, so they live a little longer.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
She was only, I believe, she was a young child when it happened, but she is now obviously a little bit older.
Lucas, you were saying something. You were just about to tell us why you thought people were disappearing.
I actually don't know why people were disappearing. There was a deeply sad place. Apparently some people were... measures were taken. But nothing worked, by all accounts.
Oh.
Right, all right. Finish up your drinks, everyone. Let's go speak to Astra.
Be gentle with Astra when you talk to her. Yeah, her ma died up there as well.
That's right. I'm the picture of gentleness.
I could see
As
that.
we all know, grief turns you Irish.
Just very briefly, you leave me alone. I heard it and I thought, no, it's fine. I'll get back to South Africa. It's fine. Leave me alone. So I had to. The deal was, however, though, my dear, you would do me a favour while you're up there looking for this little item of yours. I would request, my wife is buried up there. If you wouldn't mind putting a little posy of daisies or something on her grave in my name, I would appreciate it.
Sprinkles will reach across the table and put her hand on his and be like, "It would be my honor to perform this task for you. Thank you for your help."
Appreciate it. There is another thing though. If you wouldn't mind, in the center of the town there is a tree. And in a notch in the tree about head height. Or at least it was head height the last time I was there. Probably grown a little bit, but I don't know. There, I left a locket of hers. I would not mind getting it back. Now, come to the end of my life and I look back, I would like to look back at something physical. If you would not mind, I would be very grateful.
Hollywood.
Speaking of things you'd like back, did you want me to get the glass?
Oh, if it's still intact, that would be great.
I'll check.
And they all look away.
No, Ian's like,
He brings
Because
out a glass that is half mulled wine and half salty fish surprise. And just slides it over the table.
So he does not actually need to eat, do you? You don't need that.
I gave it a go.
You tried it, and I'm glad you tried it. Thank you very much.
oh,
I look over at Sprinkles and I'm like,
You're doing well at this human interaction thing. I can tell he's new at it, but he's getting the hang of it. I can tell.
He's really good at it. Well, I haven't really talked to him that much. No, not that much. But yes. What was I thinking? Oh yes. We will absolutely help you with this. I used to run errands for my cousin all the time, just delivering parcels for him. So I don't mind. No, I don't mind at all.
Well, then I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Well, should we go see Astra?
I think maybe if we're going to do this favor for Mr. Lucas here, then it would help us to know the name of his wife so we can find the marked grave, assumably.
Oh, the name is Lorna Grovesner.
Lorna Grovesner. And it is a marked grave?
It would be marked, yes.
Great.
I'm sorry. I
Holly
always
just wandering around the graveyard looking for Lucas's wife.
Mrs. Lucas.
Yeah, this is it. Thanks, Jeff's mom. Yeah.
my apologies. I still believe that things worked the way they did when I was in that silvery sea. Like all you had to do was picture it, and you just show up there. But yeah.
Oh, that sounds quite nice. Wouldn't
It
mind that
really
at all.
was.
Where is this? Where could I visit?
I've heard it called the Astral Sea or the Silvery Sea.
Oh,
It's
sounds
silvery.
beautiful.
It is beautiful, and it's scary, and it's the true meaning of awesome.
Everyone, you have 5 seconds to finish your drinks and then we go. And
Gosh, I might
Brendan
need
is
to keep
gonna-
him around as a bouncer. All right, then, we'll have a nice day. Enjoy your trip. I honestly hope nothing bad happens to you up there.
Oh,
Look out
thank
for
you,
yourselves,
Lucas.
all right? Thank you.
And I will whistle to the bird on the rafters.
Oh, thank you. That's great. Yes, get rid of that one.
And I hopefully, I'll roll for it if you like, but hopefully it comes down. And...
You druidcraft a berry into your palm, and it goes, "Ooh, fuck yeah!" And I mean, this is an animal that lives in your hair. I don't think it's scared of you.
But
Like,
it,
you
it
slept
wouldn't
on
return
that hair.
before shitting in the glass of half chowder and
It
half.
won't make it any worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, it's about to improve it some.
Like, there's
Yeah.
half chowder, half mulled wine with a little bit of engine oil in there as well, yeah.
On the way out, Clays will say, "Oh, Lucas, what is the surprise?"
Oh. And he gestures you in so only you can hear and says, "That's the beauty of it. There isn't one. No one knows. So they think there's a surprise. And everyone's like, oh, I have it, so I get the surprise, and there's no surprise."
Well, that's very surprising. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You know, that's the surprise. It's quite surprising when there's no surprise. If you come in looking for a surprise and there isn't one, that's why I always enjoy not having a surprise birthday party, because everyone threatens it, but it never happens.
Right.
Ollie, it's time for us to go.
Sorry.
Yes, your
excuse
friend
me.
is busy. All right, off you go. Bye-bye. And I think we will take a short break there. Gosh, it's a different kind of backseat, not backseat, but like shadow DMing. I was like, move the story along. It's just got an impatient character.
It's great,
don't hate
actually.
it.
I love.
Ian would like on the way out you hear clicking of his cane, and he's drinking the mulled wine, just putting his glass on the counter.
Necking it and putting it as he goes. Very well.
And then a very different sound as akin to a bus giving birth. Bits and follows.
Sound like
suit.
Dan. I'd love to hear your interpretation of what that would sound like.
No. If you want to see what that looks like, check out the Hermitcraft video.
Check out my
The-
OnlyFans, bits and pieces.
Yes, I was just gonna say. I'm pretty sure there's a Fansly for that.
And I think we'll take a short break there, guys. We'll be back 5 to 10. Just refresh ourselves and be back very shortly. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you soon. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Avast and ahoy, mateys. We be back for more Candlekeep Christmas, or for the first day of Candlekeep, where we are doing the Deep and Creeping Darkness, or my variation on it. You guys have just been at the pub, the Bored Weasel, and spoken to Lucas Grosvenor, the proprietor, and he has advised you to go and talk to Astra. Who is a half-elf and the local florist. And play the music, Sirenscape. There we go. Maybe?
Maybe.
There we are. Astra has pale skin, shoulder-length red hair, streaked through with white, and cloudy blue eyes. And they run a flower stall in the market. And they look like this, because I love running things from a book, because it means you've actually got pictures. This is Astra. It actually does not specify Astra's gender as well, which I really quite like, but I've decided female. Yes.
Could be female.
Yeah. I have played this adventure before with the dreaded GM, but I only got about 2/3 of the way through. And I remember Dread had Astra was female. But we never saw a picture. Astra has it's a little shop, which in my mind resembles a hobbit hole. And it is just overgrown, the outside. It looks like a mound, like all the other shops are buildings. This one is a small hillock with a door. And there are some pots and like buckets with fresh cut flowers in them, but a lot of it just looks like she's just growing her wares there and then, and will dig them up or cut them off as requested when you want them. There is this half-elf woman pottering around the plants. It's a stall,
Pottering.
sort of a stall situation out the front. With basically a place to take money from people and put it into a relatively safe box. But she is paying as much attention to passers-by as she is to her stall.
Ian will go up to her and gently rap a knuckle against the table.
She has definitely
call her
seen you
attention.
approaching. She has definitely seen you.
Yeah.
Hello!
No. Hello. Lovely flowers you have here.
Thank you. I do take particular pride in them.
I can tell. So, this is going to be a little bit of a difficult topic, judging by the previous person we talked to, but...
Oh, my goodness, what happened to him? As Bitson... Oh, no, don't hide. I'm just curious.
Isn't he just a marvelous?
He
It's
is
why don't you
rather...
come down here so she can look at you?
Nothing happened to him. He was just made like that.
Oh, I see. Oh, how interesting.
He's
I do so
absolutely
like meeting
marvelous.
new people. Who made you then, my friend?
Don't know.
Oh, that must be quite frustrating.
I don't think I turned out the way they wanted, so they were gone when I woke up.
Oh, well, that's quite rude.
It's okay.
Anyway,
What was I saying? Yes. So yes, we talked to this lovely man, Lucas, and
he is nice, isn't he?
He's such an amazing person. But he told us to talk to you about Vermilion.
And her whole demeanor changes.
Yes, that's what I suspected would happen. So,
You're not going
We
up
have
there,
been-
are you?
unfortunately, we've been tasked to retrieve an object from there, and also Lucas has asked us to place flowers on his wife's grave.
Oh. That's
Daisies,
nice.
please.
Oh, I can help you with that. Yes, absolutely. But so many people have gone up there. None of them have ever come back. It's very dangerous.
I'm not people, if that helps.
You look like a
Sprinkle-
person to me.
Oh.
I'm mostly bits.
Sprinkles will step forward and be like, "We are aware of the danger that awaits us, but this is a matter of great importance, and we would not risk our lives were it not. And any
We're
information...
after a book.
Oh, well, then there's a few places up there you could try. I suppose you've come asking what happened.
Well, as much as you can tell us would be wonderful.
If we can prepare ourselves, chances of our survival is a lot higher.
I see.
Higher.
I understand. Well, I was very young. My memories of that time are quite clear for that, I suppose, but I was very young. I was 8 when it happened. Both my parents passed away since then, but not in the initial disaster. I remember a bang, and everyone was very upset and active. There was a lot of activity for the next few weeks, but things sort of seemed to calm down a little bit, though everyone was very sad. The place wasn't as alive anymore afterwards.
Yeah.
But then people started disappearing. I remember that. It started as like hushed conversations between the grown-ups. And as time went on, I remember nightmares. People had nightmares. And sometimes people would disappear. It's not like we went to sleep and the following morning they'd run away. It was more like sometimes you could be walking down a street with somebody and you turn away to look at something and you turn back and they were gone. Poof! Like they'd never been there.
How peculiar. Did you witness this yourself?
I don't think so.
Do
The
you...
people who disappeared, were they only the people who had nightmares?
Oh, I don't know.
And-
My
and
mother
was
had nightmares and she didn't disappear.
Was there any sort of magical effect when these people disappeared? Like a noise or a colour or
What
some
have we
sort
got
of...
in chat? Mooncloud. Mooncloud, would you make me a history check for exclamation mark history for Astra? To see
Can I just
how much-
confirm, though, out of character DM, this teleporting issue, that's confined to Candlekeep, isn't it?
Yes, it's a recent issue of the last sort of month in the Candlekeep. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're aware there haven't been any other like sightings of it happening outside of Candlekeep.
I don't know if you'd be aware of that, but as far as this particular magical effect, it is related to, it only happens to people who are in Candlekeep or do a lot of work for Candlekeep, spend a lot of their time at Candlekeep. So if
Okay.
you have a relationship with the place.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear we've got Mooncloud in chat. Let's ask somebody else.
Who else is there?
Who
I
else
just
have we
wanted to
got?
eliminate that as a feature of this adventure.
Very well, thank you. Yes, in which case we can ask anybody else. Anybody else who is in chat, you are very welcome to... Nope, that was disturbing enough, thank you. Yeah, anybody else is very welcome to as well. If you are in chat, please exclamation mark history. The first one is the one I will take. As she hums and haws She has started absent-mindedly making a daisy chain at her
Excellent.
at her little counter. Ro rolls an 11. Thank you very
11.
much, Ro. Ro, yeah. She says, I remember it was fear. I mean, it's. I think Ro is very much in keeping an 11 for an 8-year-old. To remember something that happened 70 years ago, is pretty good.
Just
I
like,
remember there was
good afternoon. Could you dig up your trauma for us, please?
Yeah, exactly. She says, everyone was very scared. But it felt like the whole place was scared. More than just the people, I suppose? My parents decided to leave after a little while. When my mother's nightmares started getting really bad, my father thought it was to do with the place, I think. He died a long time... Well, he died about 20 years ago. We moved here, and my mother passed away shortly after we settled. The nightmares never stopped, but she didn't disappear.
Right.
Lucas was very kind to me after that.
He
Nice
seems like
man.
a kind man.
He seems like one, yes. Now,
Have you tried his salty
Personally-
fish surprise?
it was very good.
Sort of.
No.
Now, Astra, a personal question, as it has to do with myself as well. I am an elf, so which one of your parents was the elf?
Oh, my mother.
And she still had nightmares.
Yes. She slept. I know it's not
Oh.
common for elves.
Yes, no.
But she liked to... She and my father prepared to share a bed. She took on a lot of human customs, I believe. She was rather estranged from her race. And I believe it's eminently possible for elves to sleep. They just don't need to, as I understand it.
Oh, I've never tried it myself. I spent a very long time in a place where sleep does not exist.
Oh,
I think I kind of lost track of time.
how was that?
Strange.
At least you're an elf,
It's-
though. Hey, Lilith.
I am.
So you don't need to sleep.
No, I do not. I just sit down and meditate for a while, and then I'm fine.
My mother liked to... She enjoyed the closeness with my father of lying next to him. She said that seeing as she would likely outlive him by many centuries, she wanted to spend as much time with him as she could, so she spent every night with him. Didn't
I can
matter that
understand
he was asleep, so was she. I thought it was quite romantic.
It really is, yes, it really is. Now, I personally don't have any more questions for you. Do I? No, I do not.
Were both your parents miners?
No. My father was. My mother ran the florist up there, actually. She didn't have an awful lot of customers, but it was more of a hobby shop, I think. My father was a miner. He started being a sheep herd when we came down. Though when I expressed an interest in being a florist, he sort of took me up on that. He and I built the store together.
I really enjoy this store. Are these all your planting? All these flowers? Have you been
Oh, yes.
planting them?
And Sprinkles would certainly be aware, Redding probably as well. The flowers around this place are not, some of them, but not a lot, are not native. Most of these are like extremely unseasonal blooms, and there's a couple that glow. There is a particular red flower in the corner that the petals are softly waving. And yeah, she is not magical her own self, but is very gifted with flowers. Would you like a posy?
Yes, daisies, please.
Of course, yes, you said. And she goes and gathers a posy of daisies for you.
Cool. And I would like to, before I leave, kind of, if any of the flowers are looking a little limp, a little sad, I'd like to give them a little boost. They
aren't. This is
very well maintained.
Yeah, she is good at what she does. You wouldn't have thought, given the size of the place, she probably doesn't have a huge amount of customers, but enough to keep herself well enough. And if she's this gifted with horticulture, she probably grows a fair amount of her own food. Like some of it's not just flowers, there are vegetables and things like that in her extensive garden. Like the inside is also growing. The windows are fairly large, and yeah, it's just brimming over with life. The air inside is very fresh. Where outside in the marketplace there is the hint of manure and stuff that you would get from a sort of a medieval town. Inside it is a very freshly scented. It's a nice place. It's very calm and cooling, I imagine. Yeah.
Are there any blue flowers?
Around? Yeah, absolutely. She says, "What particular color are we looking for? Do you have anything specific in mind, or blue, just blue?"
A pale blue, I think.
Oh yes.
Perhaps.
Sky. Like on a clear day.
Yes, absolutely.
She finds it is. They are green stalks with loads of little blue flowers, starting about halfway up, and she finds a trio of them still growing out of a pot. It's a plant, and it has its leaves are 5-pointed, almost like a tomato plant, but yeah, blue flowers.
Oh, excellent. Could I have one of those? One of those, please?
Certainly. And she she has a sort of like an archer's bracer, but it's got loads of pockets in it. And there is a it's like on the front it's sachets of seeds. And into the inside of the arm there is a pair of secateurs in a leather sheath that she removes and snips, and then locks and replaces, binds it in butcher's paper and presents. The cost of all of this is like a silver piece for the daisies and a silver piece for the blue flowers.
I've got it. I want a sunflower as well, please.
Oh, of course. And this one she has to go outside, and she says, "Would you like to select one?" And there is a stand of about 24.
Look, the healthiest looking one.
Sure.
One that it has a glow to it.
Sure. Oh, you have a good eye. And once again, the secateurs. She cuts it off quite low down, so she gives you almost a spear of sunflower. Probably about 4 or 5 feet of sunflower.
Amazing.
Meanwhile, Ian unwraps the flower, and then as she turns around again, he'll try to put it behind her ear without her noticing. Just like...
Behind Astra's ear?
Yeah.
Make me a sleight of hand check, Ian.
No, she will notice that. That's a 12.
I don't know.
Maybe.
She rolled a nat 1.
Yeah, so no. So he just carefully puts it behind her ear, like.
Cute. She turns around and says, "A third silver for the sunflower." And and then she places the daisy chain she's been making. She finishes it, so it's a wreath, and she places it around Bitson's neck.
Oh.
And she says,
That's funny. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you carry on.
I go to Bitson with the sunflower and find. So I might trim it a bit if I need to, but I find somewhere to fasten it, to slot it into.
Oh, well then, why don't we? And she takes her secateurs out, and with garden twine, she ties it to the daisy chain like a massive clock necklace.
Right.
And plants it around Bitson's neck and said, "That looks marvelous. Much better."
I am sorry.
Don't be. You look marvelous.
Here's your silver. Thanks very much. Let's all
Thank
go.
you. If you
Thank
are
you kindly.
looking for a book, you might try the mayor's house. As I remember, he was rich.
Hmm.
Lee Duvazane. You ought to know the house. It's the big one.
Look for the big expensive house.
There was also a dwarven smith who lived up there, I remember. Horman. He was famous, I think. Lots of people came to see.
I feel obliged to ask, Astra, since we are performing a favor for Lucas, while we're up there, is there anything we can get for you while we're there?
No. I don't want anything. Though, if you can find out what happened, I'll be very grateful.
Well, if we can solve the mystery, we will come let you know.
I wish you luck.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah, Sprinkles will give her a nod and a smile, and we'll waft out the door.
You waft out the door. She looks approvingly at Redding as you leave.
I pretend not to notice.
Cool. You head on out. Do you want to do anything, say anything, be anything before you leave?
Don't think so.
One quick thing, DM. Are you making me count arrows?
No.
Great. Cool. I buy infinite number of arrows.
Cool. You came with a good number of arrows already. The
Yeah.
Maharishi! Thank you very much for the sub, buddy.
Ah,
Good to see you, mate.
Bitson totters over to the horse trough and dips one elbow in to top up his water tank because he is steam powered.
Excellent.
ah.
So there is a noise as you do that.
Like a creaky bellows.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Yes.
Holly is trying so hard not to look unsettled by this.
Bitson is trying so hard not to unsettle.
I like to imagine
Redding
the
is
bellows
not
is
trying.
breathing.
Yeah.
Redding is
Just-
not trying not to look unsettled.
Yeah, Ian is just fascinated.
Yeah.
He loves everything about this.
Ian's
Glorious.
drooling a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, construct.
Where did this come from? Right. You go and see your guides.
Yep.
I presume. Yes.
Yes, our
Yes.
guides of ill repute,
Guides.
Guides.
Yep.
Cannon fodder.
who are definitely there and haven't just robbed us of 5 gold pieces.
They are definitely there. They are excited to rob you of another 5 gold pieces.
Excellent.
And they
Speaking of being robbed, when I paid for the flowers, did I have any gold missing?
no,
Great.
you were too scary.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Aim.
And so yeah, you get to the edge of town, to the road that leads up into the mountains, and your guides are there, waiting for you. they are, yeah, there is a dwarf, a human, and the same goblin. The human has a bow strung over his back and a quiver of arrows. The dwarf is apparently armed with a pair of axes. And the goblin has a nasty-looking short sword at his waist. They all have backpacks now, and the dwarf says, "You got provisions for the journey, then? We're all set, but we won't be feeding you lot."
I should be fine.
One assumes we have some supplies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, you have travel rations and so forth.
Holly tries to discreetly tuck her purse like a little further inside.
Yeah.
You can put it in bits and.
No, that's not necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no call for that. It's fine.
They proceed to lead you up into the mountains, unless you want to do anything or say anything beforehand. All
I'd
right.
just like to note that Sprinkles is like keeping an eye on them.
Very well.
Like,
Sprinkles,
maybe-
what manner of eye? Are you watching them to see if they pull anything shifty, or are you inciting them?
Basically, I want to keep an eye on them in case they're like whispering to each other in a way that seems suspicious, or maybe getting out weapons. So just.
I mean,
just
they
in
have
case
their
of-
weapons in like on display, sort of thing. They look like the sort of guys who would be pretty good at hunting, and that might be at least how they make their living. Certainly the archer.
I suppose Sprinkles' concern is that they're going to attack and rob us. So she's trying to spot any early warning signs of that being about
A
to
perception check, I think. Then.
What I will do that I think is probably feasible that Redding kind of always does because he's always on the road is to have a false pouch on his belt filled with cow trips.
Love it. Yeah, I enjoy that a lot. So yeah, you Holly, you don't notice any. They don't seem to be any more than they already are. Sus. They're not a sussy flower amongst them.
Excellent.
And yeah, you make your way up into the mountains. The dwarf introduces himself as Memnon, and Memnon Stonecaller, and his two friends are Gareth the human and Narg, the goblin.
Memnon, Narg, and Gareth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gareth from the valleys.
Yes. Gareth does actually speak like that. Gareth?
Now.
Yeah, absolutely now. Whereas Narg kind of sounds like this. And Narg says, "So why are you going up into Vermilion then?"
Well, we were given a quest. Do you call it a quest?
We're
Is it
looking for a
quest?
book.
But what he said.
Adventurers, are you?
You could say that. We're sort of adventurous. Yes.
Oh, sounds fancy.
Well,
And, what do you do when you're not guiding strangers up the mountain?
Hunting, mostly.
Very what do good you at it, hunt?
aren't we? Well, I like to shoot bears, some deer, perhaps. Occasional rabbit, if I find one. Gareth does most of the hunting. We mostly go and pick it up after him. I help with the skinning. I'm good at that. Also
Oh,
make
you must
good
have,
traps. They're wearing red
Traps.
shirts.
Yeah, I just realized I'm wearing a red shirt. Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Dan, you and I were gonna die!
Hey, Ray.
And Memnon says to Redding, it's about probably a day's walk. Get there by midday tomorrow. But there's a good campsite about halfway up if you're prepared to, I wouldn't recommend just pushing on through.
I
That
would-
sounds sensible. Let's do that.
Yes.
He's dead, Jim.
So my weather sensors told me it was going to rain today.
Yeah.
Is it looking like that's going to be soon?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to, the weather front will come in. However, depending on how far up the mountain you can get, you might manage to keep your feet dry.
I suppose I'll keep an eye on that as well.
Yeah.
Just because if we can make camp before we get rained on,
Oh, yeah.
definitely better.
Does look like it's going to rain tonight. Maybe we should stop at the cave.
Where is that?
Oh, it's not far from where we would be camping.
Just a little drier, one hopes? Yes?
Yes, mostly a little bit drier.
Excellent.
Quite pleasant, though. It's a bit... That's... So many goddamn accents.
Lucas, you're back.
Yes, I'm here. I've decided to come with you. It sounded like such a lovely idea. I thought I'd just put the flowers on my wife's grave my own self. Stupid of me, because you've got all these friends with you and everything, so I'm very safe. You did this. You made me.
Should we play accent bingo?
Yes.
See how many Josh can tick off in a session, because we've had South Africa.
This will be coming up on the record, actually. I've never done the nasal quite so much before. Yeah, Siri doesn't like that at all. Yeah. So you get where you're going, and how would you be spending the evening? You get to a. It is a pathway that sort of wends its way around the edge of the mountain. It's been sort of cut into the mountain a little bit. So it's basically a ledge about 40, 50 feet wide. Most of the way the road is as near to the mountain side as possible, but there will be trees and so forth on the other side, next to a pretty precipitous drop. And coming around a bend around 6:30 in the evening, the rain does begin to fall. However, it starts just as you reach the entrance to a cave. The cave mouth is quite wide. It's more of an overhang than a true cave. But it does shield you from most of the weather. Big dog. It makes for a perfectly serviceable place to spend the night. So how would you spend the night? Would you sleep in shifts? Would you,
I think sleeping in shifts would be a wonderful idea.
Nog would definitely make a campfire, and they even actually go so far as Gareth has shot a rabbit in the early afternoon and decided, he said, well, look, it won't go very far between all of us, but you can share it if you like. As long as one of you helps me skin it.
I imagine Holly Sprinkles has like some herbs growing maybe in her hair.
Oh, sure, yeah. Some mushrooms, scalp mushrooms.
I am perfectly fine keeping watch as long as I get 4 hours to rest before we set off again.
Of course.
I don't need to sleep.
Okay.
Well, you and I can share then. Share? Yeah,
Redding is not engaging in this conversation. He's found a corner and has taken out an oval stone and has all of his attention focused on that. He seems to be whispering to it and like caressing it, and it is slowly turning, growing patches of black scales in like teardrop formations, and then puts it on the ground as it hatches, and a small black wormling, a small black dragon emerges from it, and he just looks at the three guides.
Oh, bloody hell, what's that? Where did that come from, then? What sort of wizard are you?
She'll be keeping watch.
Right.
That's quite a trick there, that is. That's very well done.
Can I move closer to this thing? Does it look aggressive?
Given the state of Redding's skin, is it?
Well, that's actually a thing as well. As this Drake emerges, the burns on Redding's skin become more identifiable as being acidic in nature. Like you swear that almost like his face, his scars tend to have dripped more than you think they did beforehand.
I would still like to offer the Drake a little morsel of food.
It will look at you and then look at Red, who will scratch behind the ears and nod, and then it will go over and just put its tongue out.
I'll put the little bit of rabbit on the end of its tongue.
As it hits the tongue, it starts to dissolve as it snaps the mouth shut.
What a fascinating little creature. Does it have a name, Redding?
Sarah.
Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Sarah's adorable. Adorable? Yeah, adorable.
Yeah, she might look adorable, but she has a bite, and I'll look at the three guards.
Yeah, I'll bet she does. You keep her away from me and I won't hurt her, alright?
Why am I picturing her like drooling slightly and the drool's like sizzling?
It hits the ground, yeah. Love it. Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll take second watch. The
Very
moon
well,
is
then.
particularly beautiful at that time of night.
Can you all, please, make me a group intimidation check?
I don't suppose I get advantage for it.
Ooh. Holly's not intimidating at all.
You do get advantage at
4.
Reading.
Okay.
3.
Well, I got
There you go.
a natural
16.
20 down to a 16.
A natural 20 down to a 16, and bits and pieces also has a -1. This is the least charismatic party.
I have a +2 and I rolled a 2.
Okay, and
It
Holly.
was 2 on the
My
dice.
stat, like,
To be
It's
fair,
amazing.
Iamarin looks like an old man in
Yeah.
robes.
Yeah.
So
I don't think I need to justify why charisma was my dump stat.
You know, no, that one, that one's is fair. Yeah, alrighty. Cool. In which case, yeah. So, Memnon says, I might just go and have a quick wander around, just a sort of scat about. You know, I'll be back. And he does so. Coming back about 20 minutes later. Yes, Sprinkles, you may. What do you want to do?
I would like going on from my kind of keeping an eye on them for any sign of dodginess behavior.
Yeah.
I want to see if I interpret this behavior as dodgy.
Insight.
While you're rolling that, I should mention just quickly, Sarah, as a black drake, has a like a mohawk kind of fin across the top of her head, as well as 2 massive tusk-like horns which come from the top and kind of jut out to be parallel with her jaw.
Cool.
I just got a natural 20 on my insight.
You did. He has definitely got a secondary reason. Yeah, he definitely has a second reason for going where he's going.
Right. Can I casually like wander over to the edge of the overhang and like trying not to look like I'm looking, but I'm totally looking?
Yes, absolutely. Celestra, yeah, Agamemnon is a figure from Greek myth. He was the, as Ardanna has said, the
The
chap
jealous
who...
queen decided
yeah.
to it.
In fairness, it wasn't Agamemnon's wife. It was the wife of his brother, King of Sparta. Agamemnon was the king of most of the rest of Greece. But yeah, he used it as justification when Helen buggered off. However, the dwarf is not Agamemnon, just Memnon. But yes.
Which is a biblical demon, if memory serves.
Yes, I think that's where it came from, actually, yeah. Or that might be Memnoth. Something along those lines, though. Memnon might well be right. Hey,
doesn't
Thamiel.
matter. He's not going to be alive for more than another session.
Yeah, so, yeah. Holly, he definitely has another reason for going.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to casually, before I go to bed, I'm just going to casually saunter over to the edge of the cave, like I'm looking out at the view.
Yeah.
See what I can see.
Looking up or down? Down is like a sharp cliff of over 1,000 feet down. Up, there is a bit of a ways. It does go around a couple of bends, and about 200 feet up, there is a second, like the road is continuing. About 200 feet up, it goes way past you. The outcrop that you are sheltering under is actually part of it. It was definitely crafted. But yeah, you don't make me a perception check. Should make me a perception.
You should make. I should make a perception check.
Oh, Brits in chat. Highs and lows. This is Karen's style. This is how we do.
It really is. This is how I go, guys. I'll roll something amazing and then follow it up with absolute shite.
Yeah. But you don't see any cause for concern.
Right.
Jan Warren also doesn't.
No, I wasn't rolling for that.
Oh, okay.
It's psionic whispers.
Oh,
because
sure.
it's a soul knife.
What are you doing with them?
So suddenly Holly would hear in her mind, you notice anything strange? Because I can connect with 2 creatures, 4, and I rolled for 6 hours.
Wow, that's handy.
So it's for a number of hours equal to the number rolled, and I rolled a 6 on a d6. So for 6 hours, I now have a psychic connection with Redding and Sprinkles.
Oh,
cool.
You do.
Unfortunately, Sprinkles has not noticed anything.
Sprinkles has noticed that Memnon, the dwarf, has definitely gone off to do something sus, but what that is, you cannot see.
Yeah, it could be anything. He could be having a bad reaction to dinner for all I know.
He came back about 20 minutes later, however... Sorry, Bitson, carry on.
I was just going to say Bitson had a piece of business he was going to carry out, which may actually end up being useful.
Oh, amazing.
Once everyone was settled, I assume the rain started to come in now.
Yes.
So he was going to creep to the edge of the cave, where the light wouldn't reach anymore, disrobe, and wander into the dark so he could open up all his ports and gather rainwater.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. And maybe divest himself of lunch.
Rinse myself out a bit, yeah.
Right, okay.
Rinse the salty surprise away.
As most people do in the woods at dark.
Is there a noise?
I would say... now's probably a good time to dispense with the salty surprise.
But yeah. Also, I need water to turn into steam so I can live. So rain is good.
Cool.
So I was just wondering, because I was going to do that anyway, would that help keep an eye on what's-his-face?
Yeah, you can... While you're out there, you can make a perception check, and you can roll that intimidation again if you like.
Alrighty. Which one first?
See how intimidating a naked Bitson with all his ports open is.
Yeah, surely I get advantage for that.
Well, this is what counts. This is the surprise. Sorry, this is the
Perception was dismal.
This is the advantage on that. Basically, you're rolling it again. the intimidation, because what you're doing could be intimidating depending on.
I clicked the wrong one.
Yes.
An 18 now. That's better. No. Just the first one. I was because you rolled intimidation before. This is effectively having advantage on that same check.
I accidentally clicked investigation for the 18.
Is it the same modifier? Oh, no, it's different. That would be a 15 for for intimidation instead. So your intimidation is 16 is the better one, I think. Oh no.
Okay.
Bitson was a 13, so the intimidation is now a 15. That's better. Cool. Yeah. What does it sound like, Bitson?
What? The rain?
As you go out and do this.
Oh, it's going to sound like a bear trap trying to mate with an old clock's innards.
Right. You have
and
inspiration.
that'll happen one at a time with each port opening, and then the much nicer, almost ASMR-like sound of the water tinking on all of the metal.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Does he make any does he say anything while he's doing it, or is he completely silent? Is it like a yeah. Cool. There is a lot of clanking and sort of the grinding of gears and metal, and then an
That really grinds his gears.
The goblin. Well, all
Really?
three of your accomplices, companions are there, and all are very much like they all look like deliberately not looking at that, or like clearly trying to not listen. They all say, "Would you?" Sorry, Memnon towards bedtime. Memnon says, "So, you lot are doing the standing guard. Do you want us to stand guard with you, or what? Like one of you lot and one of us? Take it in turns?"
Sounds sensible.
All
Two
right.
pairs of eyes are better than one.
Sure. I'm on
so-
first watch.
So Yanwarin
Watch,
is on
yes.
the first watch. Bitson doesn't need to sleep. He just sort of sits there and is aware as he rests. Sprinkles takes the second watch, and Redding... Well, Yanwarin, if Sprinkles is taking the second watch, Redding can get a full night's sleep if he likes. Particularly while Sarah stands watch as well. So that's the order? Cool.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds like it.
Redding will be up relatively early because that's how he does anyway.
Yeah.
And Sarah will be standing watch with him, lying with him.
Sure. Lovely. Cool. In which case, can you all make me perception checks, please?
Nope.
Look, 13 isn't the
Yep.
worst thing I've rolled tonight. I'll take
bad.
it.
Not bad. 22.
I was in that one.
Ooh.
And a 16 from Bitson.
Yeah, Yamarin is too busy trying to figure out how Bitson works.
Yeah. And I imagine like Bitson is just sort of how is Bitson being during the night? Like what does he do?
The night is Bitson's favorite time of day because he knows that no one can possibly stare at him. And so he's just keeping an eye out, wondering if he can spot any animals. And basically his hobby is watching them and trying to learn how to ape them to fit in a bit better because he is supposed to be mammalian. The creator has missed the mark, but he knows he's meant to be quadrupedal, so he just
Right.
watches anything that is.
The main animal that he can see is Sarah. And he might watch her sleeping next to Redding. I imagine Redding like stroking her absent-mindedly while she lies next to him. Sprinkles, do you do anything while you are on watch? Because you said you like the moon.
Oh, I'm stargazing totally.
Cool. Lovely. So Bitson, you would definitely witness Sprinkles doing that. Basically, you witness all of them doing the things they do while you're just sort of immobile sit there in the darkness watching people. I imagine that time of night where you really like because no one can stare at you is spoiled a little bit by Yanwarin, who definitely is staring at you through most of the night.
Yeah. Yeah, you see these
with
really
dark
pale blue
vision.
eyes just.
He hasn't moved in hours. And what you all notice, to varying degrees, is that you signally fail to be attacked by your guides during the night. The following morning,
They're just gaslighting us.
The following morning, they sort of get ready to take you on up to Vermilion, and as you are approaching the, they say another 5 or 6 hours along the road. It's a fairly uneventful trip, to be honest. They turn to you, Redding, and say, "It's just over the next hill there." And then he looks a little bit, sorry, not him. Nar, looks, gives out a squawk of the, "Oi, what's that then? What, is it more magic?" As around Yanwarin, Bitson, and Sprinkles, this swirling green energy has begun to appear. And Redding, you watch as 3 of your companions clamp away to be replaced by... Oh, sorry, no, it's just Bitson and Sprinkles. It is just Bitson and Sprinkles. Just 2 of your 3 companions clamp away to be replaced by 2 different... companions.
For the love of Tear.
And I think we'll leave it there.
Shut up. You just see Ian Marin's eyebrow raise again, just... Huh. Right.
What was that then? Who are these guys? And we'll stop there. Thank you very much,
I'll let
guys,
them
for
introduce
playing.
themselves.
They will. Next time. Yeah. I just checked who it was and was like, nope, I can't remember the name of either of them. One of them is a Minotaur. Yeah, standing where Bitson was is essentially the same thing, but significantly better put together and not very made of metal.
It's Terrace.
Yes, it is Terrace.
It's
Hjort.
Terrace's minute.
Hjort Horncaller.
Yes.
It's Hjort Horncaller, and I do know the name of the other one because it's Malika Moon's character.
Oh, nice.
Ariel, who was an Air
Yes.
Genasi.
Oh, great.
So yeah,
Very nice.
you've traded out a druid and a barbarian for a rogue and a bard, I think.
Yep.
Yes.
I think so.
Perfect.
Splendid. Well, guys, we need to do our favorite moments now. That was a rather marvelous first session of the campaign. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. That was good fun. So yeah, we'd like to do this at the end of our streams. It is something we've borrowed from the Dreaded GM, and I'm not the only person who does it. Lawrite does it as well, as does the Eldritch Scribe. But I do it slightly different to Ardanna because I make the person who is being complimented goes last.
Yes.
And because I like the rolling the dice thing to determine who goes first, let's do that. Number 3, we are talking about Karen first. Favorite Karen
Hey.
moments, favorite sprinkles. So,
Flatter me.
and chat, if you have any favorite sprinkles moments as well, please let us know what you thought.
Should
Well,
probably
I-
say Sprinkles is actually my elf name when I'm being Santa's elf.
Yeah.
Generally, by the way.
Well, I was going to say I was really, really glad that at least one person in the party was charismatic once we needed to start asking questions, because she carried us both in the bar and the florist shop.
People skill. I have them.
Celestra
No one's
says, I
brought
like
out
the
it.
parts before I got here because they led to what I was listening to. Roro liked the bird flying out of the hair after being transported. Yes.
Bro stole
Squawk.
mine.
Yeah, that was good.
I found the most wonderful reference image. I'll go chuck it in the hung, drawn, and quartered.
Yes.
I
I don't want to show it on screen now because it is probably a copyright.
It probably is copyrighted. But yeah, and she has birds around her, and so I'm just like, I bet they're in her hair.
Yeah,
Just chill out
definitely.
with it.
Yeah, I liked you really going ham with all the druidic flavor, including the birds. The second bird was great. It was a great touch.
Comedic timing.
I was thinking cinematically. I'm like, I've just walked into a bar. Everyone's fallen silent. What happens? I'm like, another bird.
Oh, there was two.
Oh, I didn't realize there were both of them.
I'm going to agree with Jack. It's the coffee scene, obviously. Obviously, the coffee scene, coffee machine. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Though I did also like just the little detail perching gently on a pile of books. I think that one was you. Yeah. Splendid. Any others?
My
Sorry.
my favorite was giving the flower to the child.
Yeah, that was cute.
That poor, and I mean, I think in images, so I just saw this image of a child hiding behind the bits, and then just thank you. Oh, and then just.
Oh, yes. Cute.
That was amazing.
Karen, favorite self?
Probably the coffee machine. I know it's already been said, but I did love the coffee machine because I thought of it on the fly because I was just like, oh, she's definitely a night owl because like the stars are kind of her whole thing. So she would stay up all night and then, do her trance quite early in the morning. So I'm like, she definitely has an espresso machine.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't really get a chance to say it at the end there because we're trying to wrap up, but I'm like, she definitely brought it with her as well.
Yeah.
She whipped it out of her bag in the morning.
Like, she's been carrying a decent-sized backpack, and it is most of it.
Most of it's the coffee machine.
She's got, like, a spare pair of underwear and a coffee machine.
It's also nice to play where she clearly tries to be a very sweet and understanding person, and she's just a little freaked out by bits. And so I like being able to play that.
Best.
Alrighty, well, I just rolled a 4, so let's talk about Brendan and Redding. Oh, so many
The
things.
freaking reveal of the familiar.
Oh,
Sarah, the little acid dragon
really well
coming
done.
out with a little mohawk.
Yeah.
Love that.
The Redding is a Drake Warden, which is what Scan's
Yes.
turning into, Karen.
Excellent. I like it.
Well, I was saying a bit in the break that I think I like Redding probably. I think Bitson likes Redding the most out of the party because despite most of what he's saying being very harsh, he's also said the most words to Bitson out of anyone he's ever met.
Sad.
Yeah,
That is
Yes.
a little sad.
it is. I mean, Bitson has just had more contact with anybody in the last day than the entire rest of his life
It's been
combined.
very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Poor little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Just
like
your
that,
friendly neighborhood recluse.
I like that for all his rough edges, Redding is actually the most. I'm struggling to find the words for it. The one who's, like you said, the shadow DM thing. He's the one who keeps things going and makes sure everyone's included and not getting left out.
Yeah. I think the line, go and dispense with your salty surprise, wrote that down, but I also like, he is played in a very subtle way. I like the detail of Redding really likes the idea of mulled wine, but wouldn't, for appearance's sake.
That was a good
Well, that was really, really good detail. Very characterful, very character building. And that's going to be the interesting thing about this, because all the characters will be appearing in the next 12 episodes at least 3 times. Redding will be appearing in the next 3 episodes. So there will be a fair amount of character development throughout, and I'm really going to... This is quite an interesting sort of thing. Everyone's chopping and changing. I'm fascinated to see how it works.
I'm really curious to see how different characters mesh together over the next 3 weeks.
Like, this party meshed interestingly. I wouldn't say necessarily... I think really quite well. But it was... Yeah, the dynamics are constantly shifting, and I'm really excited for it. Roro says the intro to Reading, particularly the interaction with the sprite.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think again the scene with the kids was very interesting. Excuse me while I murder my cat.
The
Not
whole,
really, but
get
he's
out of
trying to
here,
break into
children.
my
I know
closet."
you're trying to be helpful. I want to go and talk to those
Yeah.
bandits.
Yeah. And no, I'm not gonna murder my cat. He's just trying to break my
No.
closet.
Well, the dog tried to break through the rabbit fence earlier,
Oh.
so
That
we're
was-
doing good. Where is the dog? I think she left.
But yeah, I really like that with the kids. Redding's just like.
I loved everyone's different reactions to the kids. It was very characterful how everyone reacted very differently to the children.
I think it's very funny how it ended up paying off for me.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't get robbed.
You haven't checked.
That's true.
This is true. I just assumed I didn't get robbed because I was nice to them, but you know.
That's
You
what I
didn't,
like
for
to
that
do.
reason.
Is
Hey!
set up.
From the DM's mouth to your ears, Brendan. Suck it.
I was just gonna say,
Hey, hey.
I like setting up direct deposits and then not looking at my bank account and saying, "Oh, nothing has gone from my bank account because I haven't checked."
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's how
Could
it
be-
works.
Anything could have happened. I don't know.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
the proverbial cat in a box. Yeah.
Schrödinger's bank account.
Yeah. Very much
Yeah.
Schrödinger's bank account.
Yeah,
The quantum
except it's
bank
definitely
account.
very dead.
He came up with that whole thing because he couldn't afford another cat. So he's like, well, as long as we don't open the box,
We don't know.
don't know if it's dead
He
or not.
accidentally killed his daughter's cat and came up with this genius way out.
You don't know that it's dead.
Don't look in the box. You won't know. It's better to not know.
You know when you were a baby and we taught you object permanence? I found a way to undo that.
In this,
This
one
could be a
particular
very
incident,
dark twist on giving a child a pet for Christmas. Just saying.
definitely not. Yeah. Anyway, any other favorite Brendan moments before we unleash him
Him
upon
again
himself?
for the first time in like 6 years.
I mean, there's that.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
I
His reaction to
Yeah.
us disappearing was pretty funny as well.
Yes.
I like being able to just lean away from the microphone when Brendan gets bored and when I can see that conversation is going nowhere and just yelling, "Let's fucking go!" That's great to have that kind of license. I also liked the somewhat smug moment right before going to talk to the people, or where Holly was getting a bit shitty with Reading, and Reading saying, "Well, actually, here's the explanation of why I think you should go to speak to these people. They look like they know what they're doing. They've been around, or we could go see some random drunks." And that moment of silence of like, yeah, okay, that's actually a pretty
Yeah,
good
and
idea.
William goes, yeah, that's fair, actually. That's a good point. Yeah, splendid.
And also, just quickly, I like the role reversal kind of that Karen and I have had going on tonight. We've
Yeah.
swapped classes.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Oh,
swapped
yeah.
Ranger and
Yeah, a ranger and a
Druid.
rude. Yeah.
Yeah,
Look at that.
and also the de facto leader position as well. But that was the
Yeah.
first thing I noticed. Like, oh yeah, and yeah, you're making more of the druid than Eric does already.
I think in a very different way, yeah. Every now and again, Eric leans in hard on the druid.
Yeah.
But yeah. Unlock. Tony emerges, blinking into the light. I made that command specifically for Tony. All right. Well, let's talk about Dan. I just rolled a 2, so let's talk about Bitson.
Woohoo!
What a sweet little boy.
Yeah,
I
look,
had a different idea for what this was going to be, I'll be honest. Brendan, please carry on. I just wanted to say, like, when Dan and I were discussing this last night,
That's true.
this was
This is
not
not
what I
what I
anticipated. I'm
Look,
sorry.
my favorite moment is more of just the general fact that Dan wasted no opportunity to be completely disgusting.
And And you can always rely on me for that.
Yes, but particularly the baited by Josh, but the what does this sound like? Which I did write down the last one, but I'll leave it in case anyone else wants to say it. But yeah, that's not only did you paint a visual nightmare, but also an audio nightmare. So thank you.
I loved tilting back of the
Yes.
head.
What I was gonna say. I had a South Park character. I had any Canadian in South Park was.
That's what I was aiming for.
Yeah. Just flapping
No,
a little
was-
head full of
big
lies. Yeah.
Basically, anytime Dan described what it sounded like, and it was usually something having sex with something else.
Yeah.
Hey, one of them was giving.
I have to find that.
One of them was
video.
giving birth. There was one that was giving birth,
bus.
and there was a bus giving birth to something. It was amazing. All of those were
And
great.
the bear trap making love to an old clock's innards.
But for
Oh,
every bit.
I'm gonna lose you all your sponsors.
Don't worry.
Hey, so Dan, when are you coming to my channel?
If you want to put up with that, you're
Dude,
So-
I play with Josh.
Yeah, this
I
is
DM
true.
Josh.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll be fine.
I maybe acquired a group of 13 kobolds as a sort of minor swarm. They were supposed to attack us, and I just convinced them not to, and I got them to join my party. They now worship the baby dragon that I am raising, and and they do what I want. And it's all Ardanna's fault because,
Yep.
you know, you put them there in front of me. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be nice to these stupid little boys. I did brutally murder one of them with another barbarian cross something or another. It's my new favorite thing, Ardanna. Because Dolph is 1 level in Barbarian, 3 levels in Warlock. He's not mostly a Barbarian. You only need 1 level of Barbarian to be a pretty good Barbarian, particularly at lower levels.
Thanks to you, I'm considering making my poor wild magic sorcerer in a survival game a barbarian sorcerer.
Yeah.
Not that he has any strength, because he has a -4 in strength modifier. So
Doesn't need it. You don't need it for attack. You need to be durable and the ability to enter a Barbarian rage. Just cranks up the survivability of a spellcaster ridiculously.
yeah. So he is a tabaxi and he can't do damage with his claws. He cannot. Because it's a D4
Negative.
-4.
Yeah, excellent.
Finally,
My
a cat
favorite
you can
Dan.
cuddle.
My favorite Dan was the initial description. Because I was like, oh no, what's he going to do to Bambi?
Oh, not like that.
No, I know, but at that point, I was just like, yeah, I had thoughts going through my head like, I should have put an advisory on this, or like,
Is he about to horribly murder a deer?
it was like, I want to be more like them. Skins, dear, wears skin.
Holy God.
I didn't know what, because the way you described it was like, oh wow, that's a lot more messed up than I imagined. Okay, cool. Bracing myself for this. No, it was really fun. Playing with Dan is like playing with Josh Lang. They both build. Seem to take delight in building poorly optimized, very sort of playing characters that are so deeply flawed. It's actually going to be harder for them to be effective. And love that. Hats off. It's a really cool choice. It's an interesting choice, and it makes, but particularly for D&D that is to be viewed, it's fun. It's really interesting, and you've created a really engaging character that everybody, all 4 of us, every NPC you fucking met was like, I must protect him.
Yeah.
Lucas was like, this is interesting. What happens if I prod this? Like, he's a barman. He's seen most things. He's a barman in a fantasy world. He's probably seen Warforged before. And he's just like, I wonder if this one can... Oh, nope, can't taste that. Weird. Yeah. I particularly liked the work with Redding on the necklace, the daisy necklace. I forgot about that, but that's more of a Redding moment than a Bitson moment. I'm actually going to agree with Jack. The I'm sorry, and then no, that's I normally try twice just to make sure that that's not the correct response.
Yes.
and not knowing how to sit down on a chair.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
All
I
of those
must say,
very good.
I am disappointed to not see Bitson in combat. That I'm sure would be its whole other thing.
Yeah, I was
It'd be
looking
just
forward
as
to it, but we didn't
traumatic
have
for
enough
him
time.
as anyone else.
Yeah.
Bitson will be back next Monday. We'll see if we can get Bitson in combat next Monday.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
god.
We got at
It'll
least
be-
one session with where I'm DMing you, Dan. So I'll find a way.
Oh,
It'll be
no.
the second session of Ardanna's story,
Mhm.
which
Ah,
is probably
so
far
good
more
chance of
likely to
combat.
be in a combat spot, I would guess.
Yeah,
It
feels
doesn't
like we're
need to
getting
happen. But yeah, like I'm not telling Ardanna how to tell her story, but yeah, look, we could do.
I'm trying to remember if
that could be
there's
fun.
an actual, encounter in that.
Yeah.
But
It does. As I say, there doesn't need to be because he's a sweetie who's actually interesting, and it was very much him and Redding were the reason you guys didn't get attacked. You were definitely gonna.
So I was right. They were shady.
Oh, definitely. Memnon was going away to tell the rest of the guys who were going to help mug you, not to, because you guys were properly messed up and it was a bad idea.
And then just
Glad
to add
Karen's
insult to
Spidey
injury, I'm
senses
just
were-
lying out there like a Decepticon soaking up the rain.
I mean, I have no idea what you're talking about. Erin is just your, generic next door neighbor grandpa. I don't understand.
I'll be honest, it's Bitson and Redding were the scary ones. You know what?
Yeah.
The
They're
Anwooden
not
and
scary.
Sprinkles
I-
was like the
I
old
crit
man
failed
and the
that one.
woman. Not a problem, really. Like,
What
He
you gonna
seems a
do
bit-
is launch a bird at us. I'm like, joke's on them. I just change into a fucking polar bear, and then your day's really fucking ruined.
Oh right, druids can do that.
yes,
Yeah.
this druid particularly can turn into stars.
Yeah. I can turn
It's
into a
such a
polar bear
cool
made of
subclass.
constellations and fuck your shit up.
Yeah.
But I didn't get a chance to. So you just got the sweet, lovely side of Holly Sprinkle.
I think Holly will be back on Wednesday.
I think it's Wednesday, yeah.
I've got the list. Let's talk about our. Well, no, we needed Dan's favorite self.
Oh yes.
Well, Josh took both of mine. Initially,
Sorry,
it was the.
I just like complimenting people.
It's fine. Initially, it was the introduction tableau because I knew I wanted this character to be darkly tragic, but in like a mournful kind of way. But I was really struggling to think, how the hell am I going to convey this? And I came up with that about 2 seconds before you introduced me, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Yep.
And yeah, when you said that, I was going to be like, oh, I liked the idea while role playing that he doesn't know how to interact with anything other than apologizing for his own existence.
Yeah. As Roro says, the pure fear he inspired with the description of the deer. We're like, oh no, oh no.
No.
He
What
just
are you
wants
gonna
to
do?
know what they feel like.
Yeah. Inside all the way. Yeah. Alrighty, well that leaves
It
us
didn't
with...
help that you started with saying, I better go last because this is going to be pretty dark.
Yeah. I'll be
I
honest,
said it was
that
going
was...
to be a bummer.
Yeah.
That was why I was concerned when you mentioned the baby deer. I was like, oh
Oh.
no.
Hold on,
Like
hold
Fitson,
on.
I was my own worst enemy there.
Right.
Just quickly before we move on from Dan, because this isn't really a roleplay thing, it was just a sassy snapback that he did at one point that I wrote down because it made me laugh. Grief makes you Irish.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be.
Being
I
a
love it.
game breaker there.
Well, so you, you very much fulfill the same role as Daria does a lot of the time, particularly where my accents are concerned. She's listening for them and watching for it, and I quite enjoy just as a Dan moment. So now all the fairy voices have to be very high pitched,
Yes.
And then mine's like, hello.
Hello.
I was so disappointed.
Don't do the same. You don't do the same gag again. You do a different gag. You undermine the expectation, right? Let's talk about Ardanna. Ardanna favorite
Yes.
moments, everybody. Ianwarin. Am I pronouncing that reasonably?
Yeah.
No,
The
but
pop.
yes.
No.
I did enjoy how, like, I was refusing point blank to go up to the 3 obvious criminal ne'er-do-wells. And then you were like, yeah, I'll just go over and, yeah, demand that they do this for us and then withhold half their pay to make sure we actually get there because I also think they're dodgy, but I'm going for it. I respect that energy.
Yep.
I like
love it.
how Ianwarin keeps talking about the Silvery Sea and
Mm.
how it's fundamentally removed them from human experience. But they do it always so casually. It's almost like the Doctor. Whenever they're like, oh yes, you guys think in this way, don't you? Huh, anyway, like, every
That's right.
time
You guys
they
eat
start,
food sometimes, don't you? I
every
remember.
every time Ianwarin started going into something like that, I was like, okay, here we go.
More stuff. Yeah. Mine's a cute one. I loved your sneaking really badly, but succeeding anyway.
Yes.
Putting the bluebells on Astra's ear. That was cute.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Astra's a sweetie. I mean, it's hard to have an interaction and roleplay with a florist and not be nice to her. An orphan
wanna
florist.
visit
You're
this
like, yeah, I'm going to
florist
be a
shop.
dick.
Yes. And like,
Melt.
yeah. Ianwarin is neutral good, so he's
Mm.
going to do stuff, nice stuff for people.
Oh, yeah, it was lovely.
I liked you finding the quirk in the way that he speaks and sticking to that. I thought that was cool. Definitely super irritating to Reading in character, but I appreciated the commitment to it.
The depth of that in the character, I thought that was very, very cool. I actually made a mental note too. Remember that for favorite moments, and then forgot it, which is why I said the bluebells behind the ear instead. Roro says the chair and offering to help the sprite always.
I literally just remembered, like, the chin. Just
Always offering to help was really sweet. Yeah. Got a bunch of real sweeties. Only one of them overtly so, but yes.
I'm just like here being all flat sweetness and light. Obviously, the other 3 of them are just, wandering around being good people quietly.
it
If
subtly.
anything, I'm just being an attention whore. Really.
Yeah. Any other favorite Ardannas?
I was quite excited when there was another elf that they could interact with, and you didn't let us down with that. That was really nice to watch.
Oh, I quite liked the question about sleep
Yes.
Yeah.
and where that went. Going back to what
Yeah.
Brendan was talking about, where that all went. Thamior, oh, you flatterer. Ardanna is a favorite by themselves, right? I mean, yeah, but they have a partner, Thamior. Get mitts off. Ardanna, favorite self?
Mm.
I know, I met him.
I think, finding that quirk that he's really, really interested in constructs
Mm.
is because
Stop
Yeah.
looking at me!
and then I rolled a nat 1 on that perception, and it fits so perfectly, and it's just like, do something. Just these icy blue eyes just staring at Bitson from the dim light. It's just-
Objectifying me.
But But
Yeah, that was lovely.
I really enjoy that, being able to play into that. It was just, it was a lot of fun.
Alrighty, splendid. Well,
And now before he tries to dodge,
I am hurt and offended and hurt that you think I would even try.
And other adjectives.
Yeah.
We have trained Josh well to not even try.
I know,
We
I'm
have
just
been
like, I
brutal.
can say it, and I was just like, well, I think we should, and I normally get to about, well, before everyone, he jumps in and was like, I haven't even said I'm not gonna.
there's the
Gotta let me
saying
get
that
it out
my partner taught me is just because I'm right doesn't mean you have to like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
But yes.
Well,
All right, then,
Almost some
favorite
of my
brief I
favorite
gave
DM
Josh
moments.
about his
Yes.
voices, I thought he did an amazing job
Oh,
making
yes.
every NPC feel so unique. And there were points he didn't introduce who was speaking, but you knew because accent, body language, even just like the posture you had for each one was really good, man. Full
Yeah.
commitment. Love that.
and like you,
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed like our introduction to the world through like the first reader, like
Mm.
both his like voice and mannerisms and the description of the office and kind of how he talked us through what was happening. It was a wonderful introduction to the story. I really enjoyed that whole scene.
Mhm.
Mm.
What's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, continuing on that. So I'm running Candlekeep Mysteries for another group, and we're on the second adventure, and you meet the first reader in the second adventure, and I made her I made the first reader female.
Mm.
And to see that difference is just
Oh, yeah.
really, really cool.
Yeah.
Because it's not stated what the like
Nope.
the gender is not stated in the book. So
I liked how the first reader got to revive the old Grumblemore voice from last Christmas.
Yes, well, there's only so many things I can do with my voice. Coming up with new ones is difficult. I was trying to settle on a voice for Lucas, and I was like, what can I do that's difficult, different that I can actually maintain reasonably well? So yeah, about sort of 5 minutes before I started the Zoom call, I was like, put South African, that'll do. I can maintain that reasonably well. I haven't used it since like
And
season
that's
2.
improved since the last
Yeah.
time you did it.
Thank you.
I had the same issue because like when I do male voices, it ruins my throat.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely destroys it. So it's like, okay, what quirk can I give him that won't make me unable to speak for a week?
Mm.
Like,
So
Roro and Celestra agree. Thank you very much, guys.
yes.
I quite like the Goblin, actually. I quite like. No, I haven't had a character like this before.
You made him
He
really
felt very
punchable.
yeah.
petite.
Yes.
Yeah, his nose has like 3 kinks in it from the number of times he's been smacked. I imagine goblins have very long noses, like sort of 9 to 10 inch long noses. Yeah. And his is probably only about 6 because it's sort of concertinaed in a bit. Jack really liked the sadness of the barkeep of Lucas. Yeah, Lucas is a sweetie.
Yeah, it is.
I love the image. I'm going to put it back up because the image of the
Yeah,
barkeep
it's a
is...
wonderful picture of him.
It's like, Astra has a nice picture, but Lucas, it's so characterful.
Yes.
This man is 95. This is a 95-year-old human, with that slightly off-center tuft of white hair, and I have so many questions.
You know he's the guy who slips the kids candy
Oh, definitely. That's
all
why
the time.
That's why he and Astra had that relationship, and
Yeah.
like he was. So when I've played this before, but we only got about halfway through the adventure. We didn't actually figure out what it was. That it caused the thing. We played it for a charity stream on Dread's channel, on Dreaded GM, and I'll be honest, I did borrow a few bits and pieces from Dread's rather than from the book because the the guides were not in the book. It says, flesh out that a bit of the adventure if you want. And I was like, I like Dread's idea, the guides thing. But you guys did a different thing with the guides than we did. We killed them. But yeah, in Dread's version of it, Astra's parents both died at the village. And Lucas sort of looked after her when she was growing up. So he has a sort of a parental figure for her. And yeah, they had a much bigger, much more meaningful relationship than this time around, where they're just sort of, they live nearby. But yeah, I did like that element of them. But I think my favorite me moment was, I would say, the Candlekeep and sort of building that setting. Because
That's
it's
what
not
I was going to
something
say. I haven't had my favorite yet, and
Go for it.
mine was the pretty slick setting of the premise, justifying why people are teleporting in and out and why characters are changing. Seemed pretty believable, gave us enough reason to want to do what we're doing. So yeah, I thought that was really well done.
Thank you. Yeah. In which case I will have another, because for me, the thing I've been most excited for about this campaign is, as we were saying earlier, seeing how all the characters interact. Seeing how I've got 11 of my favorite role players that I'm friends with coming together for this one, and I've mixed and matched, so I think everybody gets to play with everybody with only a few exceptions. So it's going to be super either as a DM or as a player. And I think I'm really excited to see how all the characters interact with each other. This is going to be one of the largest cross-pollination of MPs. It's like a really long one-shot. I'm really excited for all of that. And
the most ambitious crossover of all time.
It's been pretty ambitious, and yeah, I'm really excited for a lot of it. I really love seeing character interplay and working that out, and to that end, I also really like providing opportunities for players to do characterization naturally. And one of my favorites is, where do we find you at the beginning of this adventure? What are you doing as we start? That's a really great way to get your players to, we learn a lot about them by what they are doing when they are not adventuring. And none of you disappointed. We were like, yep, right, love it, yep, cool, absolutely. And I was like, and Redding is skinning the thing so he can feed them to his, oh no, he hasn't got it out. That's interesting. How all of you interacted with the sprites, all of those little things were really, really great. And it was, giving you loads of opportunities to RP was the thing I am the most proud of about my storytelling today. The children were not in the book or anywhere. I just made them up on the fly because I thought it would be funny. And again, you didn't disappoint. I liked... I felt a constant need to challenge the expectation of the way people are supposed to react to Bitson, because that's how people have reacted to him in the past. That was my favorite me. Glorious, cool. Have I been flattered enough? Can I go away from here now?
I nearly forgot the thing I do in every game, which is to remind you that you looked very handsome today.
Oh, that's fair. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Seeing you and James's mustaches yesterday, I was like, oh, I need to... because mine is finally long enough after I shaved it off earlier in the year that I can curl it again. And so we will go away from here now because we've been streaming for a gosh darn while. We will be back tomorrow night with some of the same. Some of the same and some different ones. If you like Ardanna will be streaming at you are 5 of the first 6, are you not? Ardanna, you're actually in more of the first 6 episodes than I am.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. So today, tomorrow, Friday.
And you've got a couple
Monday,
of days
Tuesday.
off, then Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Yep.
Yep.
But you've got breaks. I made sure you didn't have to do too much at once. You know.
Also,
mean-
you're entitled to one of the objects on the shelf behind Josh next time you visit.
Yeah, next time you're over here.
Yeah, that's gonna be a while.
Again, we get a really long straw.
Yeah. Yeah,
can't
I
lift
recommend
shit
not
with
asking for
straw.
one of the boxes of games then.
Roll up one of
I'm
the
training that
D&D
dragon.
books.
Yeah, fair.
That dragon there, right there. That
Fine.
dragon. Yes,
It's pretty dope.
because I love dragons.
Oh god, my chat window was hiding that. What the hell is that for?
That is for Zombicide, actually.
Thank god.
He's one of the monsters in Zombicide. I can't remember what he's called. Anyway,
I mean,
we should
this
go away.
This is my unskippable cutscene.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Nice.
Is that for season 2 of In Between?
No, this was for my home game that unfortunately fell apart when they were shattering too much. I would just do a rob and drop it on the table and go unskippable cutscene.
Alrighty, well, we will go away from here now. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming and playing. Thank you to Sirenscape, who provide our music. You can hear them currently. They are gracing your ear holes at the moment. Thank you to Wooden Forge for my beautiful dice keeper. This is where I keep all of my beautiful dice that I roll for the channel. If you are interested in acquiring some of their beautiful, beautiful things, you can find them at woodenforge.com/Corsairs Cove. Celestra, you're very welcome for the entertainment. Go fund Ardanna's trip to Josh. Exactly. And I need to thank my lovely, lovely players. Ardanna, who the absolute heck are you? Take a gulp. Finish. You can take... Sorry, I didn't notice.
I am Ardanna or Joe. Sometimes I also respond to Oi or you there. That works as well. I am the DM and channel runner over at the Lorite, and I will be back here tomorrow for more gaming, and then on Friday for some DMing.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
yeah.
get to play for the first time in
Yeah.
the setting.
Yeah.
As will Ro. Oh, no, Rachel. Rachel and I will be back for on Friday, along with
One
Terrace
of the cool
and
ladies.
yes,
Terrace on Friday?
I believe so. Terrace is on all of your games. Terrace is the Brendan for your games.
Yes. Yes.
It's dangerous
Let
to
it
go alone. Take
be
a Brendan.
let it be heard. That was the term. Terrace is the Brendan.
The Brendan, yep. And my younger sibling, Rhythm in the Mind, will be the other player.
Hey.
Which is going to be
Ooh.
fun. Well, yeah.
Nice.
As in, this is the other cool thing. I get to introduce some cool people who haven't played together with other cool people who they haven't played with yet. Yeah. My little brother is really cool. But don't tell him I said so. All right, Brendan, who the absolute heck are you?
Hello, I am Brendan Ellis. I'm an actor and director here in Perth, and I am the Brendan of this campaign of this arc. So
Never let us
you
down.
see,
that.
you see me here tomorrow. What's funny is that when I reappear in the 3rd or 4th one, I won't be the Brendan of that campaign. So we'll see how we deal with that then.
Look, for clarity for the audience, because they don't know how I've planned this, so there are 4 stories, 4 books within the campaign, and each one has one character that will be there the entire time. Just for continuity. So, Brendan, you're on recap tomorrow. Actually, kind of think of it, Ardanna would be on recap tomorrow because Brendan will be on the one after that. Because he'll be the only person who's staying over. But, and speaking of the Brendan of this campaign, let's talk about the Dan of this campaign. Dan, who the heck are you? I keep doing that. It's not Dan, it's Arts.
It's alright, my name is at the end of Brendan's name. It's very confusing. So I am Dan O'Brien. I'm a Perth-based creative. I mainly just post on Instagram pictures of my tiny plastic men who make me feel happy. At Arts and Lovecrafts. I also live
Warhammer
with
Minis.
the
Warhammer Minis. That's what it is. It's Warhammer Minis.
I also live with the absurdly talented Rachel Fukar, whose book, The Rings of Mars, is available here on this very internet. And as this plug always has to end with a creative threat, if you don't buy her book, I will add more moments where Blitzen gets uncomfortably close to an animal, and I will add the fact that he doesn't know his own strength.
Please buy
Buy the book.
Rachel's
Buy the
book.
Oh no.
Well, Celestra, if you enjoy a good Warhammer mini painting stream, then go and check out Arts and Lovecrafts on Instagram. And if you like a streamer who's really good at it, then I heartily endorse Mike Moans. So, Karen, who the absolute heck are you?
Hello, I am Karen, also known as the Mother of Bunnies. I'm a performer, a writer, an internet addict. You can follow me over on Twitter while it still exists, Mother O Bunnies. Or you can follow me on Instagram as my burlesque alter ego, Miss Longmore. Or you can find me here. I believe I am back on Thursday, which is going to be fun. But you can also hear my dulcet tones in the D&D podcast, There Be Dragons. Link in chat, or just search There Be Dragons in your preferred podcasting platform.
And Madame and Monsieur, Dharma under Heron and Beings of Indeterminate Gender and Persuasion, I be Josh the Pirate. And you can find me here on my channel, Corso's Cove, which I run with me lovely lady wife. But you know that because you've done it already. Good job, keep doing it, you splendid human beings. We run D&D every night this week. Except Saturday and Sunday, because I need time off. But every weeknight this week. 7 p.m. every day this week, we will have Candlekeep Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. With Thursday nights, we will be back for more Humble Wood, where a special guest will be joining us. Ooh. So, guys, yes, what else do we need to say? We need to say, please check us out on our socials. Come and join us on our YouTube if you fancy catching up on all the episodes you may have missed. And we have a Discord as well if you want to hang out with us there. That's it. I think we should probably go away. I think we should go and raid the Eldritch Scribe. We will be back 7 p.m. tomorrow night with me, Daria. Me, Ardanna, that was the name I was trying to say. Brendan, Terrace, and Rhythm. We will be back. Oh no, Brendan, Terrace,
Malika.
and Malika. And tomorrow night, 7 p.m. AWST. 3.5 hours ago, but tomorrow. Yeah, hope to see you all there, you lovely, lovely people. So, guys. We will drop a raid on the Eldritch Tribe now because they are good friends of ours and they are splendid streamers as well. So please throw your favourite raid emotes up in chat. Tell Des, Daria, Raf, and the others where you came from, and we will see you next time. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.